All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to the Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the StarK Media Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Episode 268 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be here with us, whether you are live streaming, podcasting, or YouTubing. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this time as we have an awesome mid-May show for you guys today, because we have an awesome guest that I'm going to get to in just a second. I promise you guys that, but I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we got some new digs around here. I don't know if you guys noticed. We've kind of re-upped this place that is totally not back screen, green screen. It is real. It's 100% real. Trevor and I built these all week long. And so, yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the way it looks right now. I hope we look handsome for y'all, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get out here and get a motherfucking scholarship. We're trying to, have some fun with y'all and hope you guys are having fun with us, because we know that right now the most exciting thing in sports is golf. So hopefully you guys don't have a lot going on a Saturday. If you are maybe enjoying your mid-Saturday afternoon nap, maybe you can wake up and hang out with us for a little bit, because we got some football to talk about, guys. I say it at the top of every single show. I'll say at the bottom of every single show. Go ahead and hit us up on YouTube. We're trying to grow our YouTube presence as much as we possibly can, guys. We're trying to get this thing monetized so we can do more fun shit like this behind us. And if you guys would be so kind, go to YouTube, go to the Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, notify, share, like, all that stuff. But get in the comments as well, because, guys, every single show, every single week, we have a segment that we like to call Speak It, where we give you guys the platform, the opportunity to give us all your questions, takes, comments, concerns, whatever you guys have for us. Bring it to us now. We'd love to hear from you guys, because we know that is what this show is all about, is the community that drives it, that thrives it, that makes this thing what it is. And as you can tell, we already got some people in here. Shout out to our guy, Dustin Orton. Shout out to our guy, Ruben DeCruz. The regulars are already here. We want the regulars to be here because they are what makes this show awesome, but we want the casuals to come in as well. So tell your friends about us. Let them know that we do this every single Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We have some awesome guests. We try to give you guys the best takes we possibly can. We promise you guys we never bullshit. We always give you guys the truth and how we see things going in the world of sports, and we will keep it that way consistently. Trevor, how the hell are you doing this week, my man?
Terrific, man. It's been a long week, but we made it. It's getting hot out here. It's finally starting to heat up out here in the Midwest, and not ready for summer, man, but it is what it is. It's here whether we like it or not. But I'm doing good, man. I'm well rested today, ready to go.
You know what I'm ready for, Trevor? I'm ready for this show. So without further ado, it is time for Lance Rants.
Gotta scream! Yeah! We're back on road time! From out to the new beat!
We're all hopped up on energy drinks here this morning, guys. We're ready to go. It's summertime. We know that it's hard to talk about things, but you know what always saves us, what always gives us content, is our own community. And sometimes even guys that work for this very show, guys that are the backbone of this show, like guys like Clay Windler. I don't know if you guys know who Clay Windler is, but if you don't, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. But Clay Windler is the founder and the creator, the observer, the patriarch of One Red Tribe Cinema. And I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but it dropped last night, the new video of 𝚂𝙾𝙾 Mahomes 5. So, little quick story. 𝚂𝙾𝙾 Mahomes is a series that Clay Windler has put together since Patrick Mahomes obviously took over. We've seen the druthers and the dark past, the dark ages of quarterback play here in Kansas City, how he was going to save us, how Patrick Mahomes was going to be the one that got us out of that funk. That's exactly what happened, and 𝚂𝙾𝙾 Mahomes has been an absolute attachment of what this dynasty now has become. Millions and millions, and I mean literally millions of people have viewed these videos over the last 5-6 years.
And the millions.
And Clay continues to find a way to step his game up. I don't know how he does it. And I'm not saying this because I love the guy. He's like a brother to us, and he's our producer, and we got to make him feel good. I'm being serious. I don't know how the hell this guy does it, where he continually makes these videos better, more clever, more efficient. He just dropped a 2-hour video, a full-length feature film, basically. This is basically a Lord of the Rings film for Chiefs fans. It's amazing what he did. I watched maybe 45 minutes of it last night. I'm going to watch the rest of it today. But I climaxed multiple times when I watched this thing because it was just absolutely fantastic. I needed 2 cigarettes after this. I don't even smoke. So it was an absolute blast. I had a great time. The best part about it is 2 things. Well, 3 things. If you guys notice, the hat that I'm wearing on my head right now is also the hat that you see a young person wearing in that video. And that is my niece, Scarlett, who's actually dressed as a boy, if you will, in this video. And you see her wearing the Montana jersey with this very hat. So this is like the Hall of Fame hat now for sure. And if you watch the end of the video, you'll also notice with my niece, Scarlett, is her father sitting across from me, Trevor Twidwell. Trevor, what was it like being featured, being a star in your first full-length feature film, man?
Well, I gotta say, man, it's thanks to the new now fame that I have, it's difficult to go to Starbucks and these places that I used to enjoy without having to wear oversized sunglasses and hoodies and such. But I mean, listen, it was this was the launching pad to my career, man. I've been waiting. This was the moment I've been waiting for my whole life, and Travis Kelce, eat your heart out, man. I'm coming for that spotlight. You know what I'm saying? So soaps, movies. Any A24 movies, anything that lined up for me, I'm ready and willing. No, but just in all seriousness, man, it was fun to be a part of this. I've been a fan of Clay's work for years. Obviously, not only is he a friend of ours and someone that we spend time with on occasion. He's a great guy, and he does honest work, and he does great work for the community and the Chiefs Kingdom, and produces great content. And then it was just a pleasure, honestly, to be a part of it. I was thrilled when he asked. Scarlett was thrilled when he asked her to be a part of it as well. It was just really cool this is going to be entrenched in, Chiefs lore forever. Not only this isn't some 10-minute video. This is a 2-hour journey, that's brought us to where we are now. And something that I not only get to be a part of in this video, but something that I've lived. This is history that I'm, portraying through, not only through the eyes of Clay and his story, and this is being like, where he was and where he came from, but I'm portraying him, and I'm also lived a similar timeline to him as well. With, being a Chiefs fan through all these years and going through the hardships and, seeing other teams have their fair share of the cake, and now it's our time. So it was just, I don't say a touching thing to be a part of, man. If I'm being real, it was fun to have my daughter alongside me being a part of it, going out to the stadium and walking toward the stadium and just enjoying the energy that place has provided me as a kid, and then seeing it, provided that for Scarlett as well. So just awesome, man. Just an awesome thing to be a part of, and something I'll cherish forever. And I thank Clay for it. For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Johnny Sins, make sure and keep your portfolio up to date, man. You might be out of a job soon. But no, that in all seriousness, man, we're really appreciative of Clay and what he does for, we said it on the last time he was on the show with us. We are so lucky as Chiefs fans to have Clay, because he could have been any other fan. He could have been a Dallas Cowboys fan. Imagine how terrible that shit would be.
Yeah.
He could have been anywhere, and he could be making these videos for those fan bases. And we were lucky enough to have him here, doing that for here in Kansas City. And I know he feels the same way, because he's fortunate enough to be a part of this dynasty now, and gets
it that much sweeter. Going through all that pain,
it's so much more fun, man.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we can't praise or give gratitude enough to what Clay has done for our show. But this is, like I always say, guys, this is child's play compared to what he really does. When he starts to crack those knuckles and gets his back loose, he starts putting in the work, man. You see it at Red Tribe Cinema, and that is an absolute reflection of him, because he is a one-man dynasty over there at Red Tribe Cinema. And we appreciate him for what he does here at the Spoken Podcast as well. What I do want to get to, and I want to be as interactive with you guys as possible today. Obviously, we're going to take your questions and speak it, but if you guys have some takes that you want to drop, Trevor will put them on the screen as well. We can react to some of them. But as you guys also know, this is a week where the NFL released their schedules. We now know when the Chiefs are playing their opponents. We knew what opponents they were going to be playing months ago, but now we know in what order the Chiefs are going to be playing them in. And I know initially when obviously we see the leaks coming out, we see, days before, the Chiefs, it just got leaked, they're playing this team at this time, and you don't see the full schedule at once. It all kind of comes out periodically,
yeah.
And then things just start to get confirmed on that last day. We did know the day before for sure that the Chiefs are going to be facing the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals back-to-back weeks to start the season off at Arrowhead Stadium. And I know initially when we heard this, I'm like, man, the Chiefs got a tall task on their hands. And this is kind of what I wanted to address today, because we're obviously not going to be giving our predictions or anything like that. We keep that till September. You guys know the rules around here, and if you don't, now you do. But what I wanted to do is address the comparisons of the Chiefs' schedule compared to a lot of other teams, in particular in the AFC, but a couple other contenders in the NFC side of things. So if you look at the schedule, Trey, let's go ahead and put that up on the screen, man. If you look at the Chiefs' schedule right now, it's not an easy schedule. I think we all kind of knew that was, going in, that was what was going to be. And luckily, the Chiefs are playing the NFC South, which on an annual basis are one of the inferior divisions, if you will. So the Chiefs did catch a break there. The AFC West has obviously been very clunky at times, so the Chiefs may have caught another break with their own division as well. But if you look at some of these matchups, the Chiefs have assumed that these teams will be what we assume them to be. The Ravens, the Bengals, you look at the Texans, you look at the Browns, you look at the Bills, Buccaneers, Niners. These are all playoff teams. The Steelers should be decent. They're always got good defenses, run games. Hell, they got really good talent at wide receiver. Are they going to have the quarterbacks to get them the ball? We'll see. We don't know that for sure. But there's some tough matchups for sure assumed on this schedule. So I know a lot of people are like, man, I feel like this is going to be a tough schedule. But Trevor, hasn't it always felt like this is the case? When you finish first place in your division for 8 straight seasons, you're going to continuously get first place schedules.
Yeah.
That's just how it's going to go.
Well, and things never go as planned. Like, you think these teams look tough, and then, so much changes throughout the period of the season, man. So many teams can fall apart, crumble. Tampa Bay could fall apart. The Browns could fall apart again, per usual. They always, granted, they did well last year, but they quarterback issues, a lot of things going wrong. So there could be, I love that the Texans game is towards the end of the year. I do love that, because that could be a very meaningful game.
Oh, I think it will be.
I
think it will be. I think we can go ahead and assume that, because the Texans look like a team that's taking that next step. Now here's the thing though. A lot of these teams the Chiefs have on their schedule also have their own tough schedules. That's kind of what I want to get to.
Yeah, they got to play us.
Yeah, and that's what I've been saying over these last few years, guys. And not to sound arrogant, but when you're a team that's won 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls, you get that opportunity to kind of flaunt it, and you get to say, the Chiefs didn't really get a tough schedule. A tough schedule got the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's what I said. They have to play us, bro.
Right. And here's the biggest thing. And we can take that off the list. We can take it on the screen. Just to get some details, Trevor, on the next slide. The Chiefs schedule breakdown. This is via our friends over at First Things First, Nick Wright and the guys. On the next slide, Trevor, if you want to put that one on there. The Chiefs schedule breakdown. They play on every day but Tuesday. Mm-hmm. That's the first team in 97 years that's played on 6 different days in an NFL season.
4 short weeks.
Almost 100 full seasons of football. And this is the first time it's happened. 4 short weeks, tied second most in NFL. Week 6 bye, earliest with Mahomes, 49-day stretch with 1 home game. So those last 2 are the ones I'm not big fans of. The first ones, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Short weeks in the NFL right now, as long as Thursday night football games are going to exist, are going to happen to a lot of teams, especially teams that people want to see. We now know that the Chiefs are going to be playing on Netflix. I think they're playing on 6 different networks this year: CBS, Fox, Netflix, Peacock, Prime. Like, they're playing on a bunch of different networks. When you are the modern day Cowboys, you're going to have a demand. You're going to have a lot of people that want you to be on their networks, and the NFL is king. And they're trying to overtake the NBA, because for 70 years now, the NBA has had the luxury of playing on Christmas. Yeah. Well, the NFL wants to get their own Christmas games, and people are all pissed off on it because the Chiefs have to play on Wednesday, but they're playing the Texans. I think that is Steelers game.
Yeah.
That's the Steelers game. 2 marquee franchises on Netflix on Christmas. I'm sorry, bro, but I'm actually excited about it.
Such a gift.
I actually like it. I mean,
love it.
Last year's game was an absolute clunker on Christmas, so a lot of people kind of frown upon it. And I know a lot of people travel and, they spend time with their families. But guys, let's be real. The Chiefs are a part of what we do in our lives. If you're, I hate to say it like this, but I'm just saying it like this. If you're a real Chiefs fan, you're probably gonna find a way to watch this game.
Yeah, I just think there's some PTSD from the game last year.
Right.
I think that Raiders game was rough to watch, and the way we lost that game was just one of maybe the worst loss of Patrick Mahomes' career.
I'm gonna say yeah.
I mean, just the way we allowed 2 defensive scores in like 30 seconds.
Wasn't even that. I think it was like 13 seconds.
Yeah, that was a wild sequence, but And plus, too, I've been seeing a narrative too with the schedule and with, like you said, the early bye and all these things, and the short weeks and short rest periods. I've seen a lot of narratives from people around Chiefs Kingdom and Twitter and so on and so forth about how the league is like trying to work against the Chiefs. They don't want us to win again. Guys, we're on all these short weeks and all these primetime games because we are must-watch TV.
That's literally what I'm saying.
The league. You don't think the league wants us to three-peat?
Right.
It'd be one of the best things that ever happened in the NFL.
Right.
To have the Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid three-peat, that's let's be real, man.
People have to understand
the Chiefs are must-watch TV, and the NFL knows that.
Sports, whether you guys want to agree with us or not, it doesn't matter. But it's been proven through time, not just in the NFL, but other leagues as well. They welcome dynasties.
They want
because they want people to hate the dynasties and love the dynasties. Because you know what that does? That draws the casuals. Because when you have superstars that are winning title after title after
bandwagon
title,
fans.
Yes, you get bandwagon fans. Like, look at the Warriors.
Yeah.
Steph Curry is one of the most marketable. Steph Curry is one of the most marketable figures in sports history.
Yeah,
he went on a dynasty with Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steve Kerr, and all of a sudden you have all these randos that are just wearing 30 jerseys with Golden State on it. People that otherwise would never worn Warriors jerseys, would have never watched the Warriors, would have never watched the NBA, but because Steph Curry is so exciting and he continues to win, people pay attention. LeBron James, same thing. People hate him. People hate watch LeBron. People love watch LeBron. Regardless, people are watching. That's what happens.
Yeah.
You have polarizing figures that are always in the dance. You're going to get people to look at college basketball. The Blue Bloods, Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA.
They love dominance.
People love seeing them make it. The ratings are always high when the Blue Bloods make it far into the tournament. So, guys, I promise you, the NFL did not sit here and conspire and say, let's figure out a way to get the Chiefs out of the playoffs. Because that was the case, they would have done that last year, and it still didn't work. That's the point we're trying to make here, guys, is this is all about they want as many eyeballs on their prized possession as possible. And the prized possession is Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs team. But see, here's the other thing, guys. We have to kind of give the NFL a break here as well. The Chiefs don't even have a top 15 schedule this year. They have the 16th toughest schedule based upon last year's win percentage, which could mean nothing. I mean, like Trevor said, some of these teams could be amazing, and some of these teams could be flat out fucking terrible, and it could be worse. It could be better than what it was based upon last year's schedule. Who knows, guys? It's such a crapshoot because the NFL is a constant revolving door. You don't know what teams are going to, most teams, you don't know what most teams are going to be on a year in, year out basis. You have a couple teams, as long as the quarterback's there, as long as the coach is there with them, they're probably going to be good. But most teams are, there's a lot of influx. There's a lot of changing, pieces. And that's going to be a thing I think the Chiefs are going to face a lot on their schedule this year. Because all in all, I would rather have this schedule and what comes with it than a few other teams such as the Browns, Ravens, Steelers, and 49ers. And I'm going to tell you guys why real quick, Trevor. So based solely on their opponents, let's start with the Browns here. Based solely on their opponents' 2023 record, Cleveland has the most difficult 17-game slate in 2024 in the NFL. They also have a 3-week road trip towards the beginning of the season. 5 of their final 8 games are on the road, and 3 home games coming against those 3 other home games coming against the 2023 playoff teams that include, of course, the Chiefs. And then you want to talk about the poor Ravens, who are going to have to do their best to overcome the loss of their great defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, who's now a head coach in Seattle. They have to open their season at Arrowhead at banner night.
Yeah.
And this will not be the Chris Jones-less and Travis Kelce-less Chiefs like the Lions got last season. Both those guys will be playing in this game. The Ravens will face 7 teams this year that made the postseason in 2023. They'll have 12 teams that had a winning record in 2023, and they have 7 nationally televised games, which means the pressure is going to be on the Ravens almost every other week. Then there's the Steelers. The Steelers must spend their first 2 weeks on the road, which always sucks. In fact, they only have 1 home game in the opening month.
And that's a team, too, that's trying to find their new identity.
Right.
With 2 new quarterbacks fighting for that spot.
They have to play all 6 divisional games in the final 8 weeks of the season. Oh, and the other 2 games in that final stretch, a road game against the Eagles and a Christmas showdown against the Chiefs.
Yeah, that division is tough in itself, man.
In other words, these are 3 AFC North teams I just listed off, and they're all 3 way worse scenarios than the Chiefs do right now just from a scheduling perspective. And then there's the 49ers, who we all know here really well. They're the stepsons of Patrick Mahomes. The 49ers will travel the 5th most miles amongst all NFL teams in 2024 with an estimated 24,575 miles. They have the unfortunate bidding of having to play 2 Thursday night football games for the 2nd straight season, which always sucks. They have a very tough late season stretch, including back-to-back late season games with the Packers and Bills, who will both surely, without question, be fighting for at least a postseason bid. Not to mention the Niners will be facing four teams that are coming off their bye week, including the Chiefs.
On top of that, they're coming off a Super Bowl hangover. Gotta throw that in too, because that's a real thing. So
why we sit here and we talk about, legitimately, we sit here and we talk about, hey man, there's some challenges on the Chiefs' schedule, just from up front. When we're seeing how they put this thing together, to back-to-back good opponents to start the season off, your bye weeks early, not as much rest time. Guys, I get it. You got to play on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You got to play on all these wacky days. This guys, this could be much worse. It could be much worse. I would much rather have this situation than those other teams I just named. And there's more, by the way. The Vikings have a tough-ass schedule. The Cardinals have a tough-ass schedule. There's Packers. They have an insanely tough schedule. Yep. There's some teams out there. Trust me when I say, guys, the Chiefs did okay. 16th toughest schedule in the league. I will take it. And here's the biggest reason why, Trevor. It's because of where the Chiefs are at right now. Look, you guys know me. I'm the one that has to always sit here and have to talk about the things I'm worried about. I got to be the guy that's not always fun. While everyone else is out there sitting there talking about the dynasty and praising the team, and it doesn't matter what they did in the draft. It doesn't matter what they do in free agency. They've won 2 back-to-back Super Bowls. Woohoo! I'm the one that has to kind of bring things down to reality sometimes. Trevor and I have to have these heart-to-hearts with you guys. But even with that, and I might even have my serious questions and doubt when it comes to the wide receiver room, the running back room, make no mistake about it, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. The Chiefs are the Super Bowl favorites coming into the season, even with their issues.
Well, I got something to say to that too.
The rest of the AFC is still very much chasing the Chiefs.
Yeah,
there's no question about that. Why do you guys think I care so much about it? Because I want the Chiefs to stay there. I want them to maintain that. And yes, sometimes they play on the edge of it, and they always find a way to overcome it. But there's no mistaking it, guys, that right now they are still very much the team to beat. And the AFC and the NFL, they should be the favorites to win the Super Bowl right now. I don't know how they're not. It's insane to me that the 49ers have better odds than they do. I don't get why, but they do, and that's just the thing. But here, the biggest reason why the Chiefs are the favorites, guys, is because of their core 4. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones. Those are the 4 biggest reasons why the Chiefs are who they still are. Trevor, we can put that first slide up, please. These are Patrick Mahomes' last 7 postseason games. Would you look at it? The Chiefs are 7-0 in these games. They have 2 Super Bowl wins. Patrick Mahomes has 2 Super Bowl MVPs. He has almost 250 pass attempts. He's completed 71% of those pass attempts. 251 passing yards per game. 7.1 yards per attempt. 13 touchdowns to 1 interception. With a 109 passer rating. That's just his last 7 postseason games, guys. And you remember what he just did in the last 4? What he had to do this last run? On the road against elite defense after elite defense after elite defense, and still put on shows. The season before that, what do we know? He had 1 leg, and he still put on a show. Still went up there and put 38 points on the number 1 pass rush in the NFL. Let's put on the next slide, Trevor, about one Travis Kelce. This blew the socks off a lot of people yesterday when I posted this one. So we all know that Travis Kelce gets compared to Gronk, and Gronk gets compared to him, and Tony Gonzalez, and there's just this mixture. I went ahead and clarified who the GOAT is yesterday. So Travis Kelce's postseason career stats. Would you look at it? 22 games, 202 targets, 165 receptions, 1,903 yards to 19 touchdowns. How about Rob Gronkowski and Tony Gonzalez postseason careers combined? It's Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce has been just as good, if not better, than Rob Gronkowski and Tony Gonzalez combined in the postseason. Do you guys understand what that means? I mean, yes, Tony Gonzalez didn't have as much playoff success as these other two, but Rob Gronkowski was in the playoffs every year he was healthy. And he had Tom Brady as his quarterback every single season of his career. And Travis Kelce's done better than him and arguably the other greatest tight end to ever play this game combined. There is no debating who the greatest tight end is ever.
And just perhaps had his best postseason this past postseason of his career.
Yeah,
at the age he's at now.
He had more receptions and yards in this last postseason run than Tony Gonzalez had in his career.
That's crazy, man.
See, and let me say this real quick.
You're talking about my favorite player growing up.
Let me specify something, because I saw some people saying this, not a lot, but there are a few, that thought this was an attack on Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah, that's just
guys,
ignorance.
This is praise to Travis Kelce. When you can do something like this,
or it's just a comparison.
Yeah, it's not even about the other guy sucks or he's lesser than. It just means this dude is just the greatest at what he does, and we can just acknowledge that, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. And what Travis Kelce's done and continues to do is a large, pivotal piece to this team continuously winning Super Bowls. And the final piece I want to bring up, Trevor, is Chris Jones. So I don't think a lot of people realize this, but if you look at this stat right here, it's pretty nuts, man, where Chris Jones could really end up in the all-time list of things with the Chiefs. If Chris Jones has double-digit sacks this season, he will pass Justin Houston and 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝚂𝙾 𝙺𝙴 for the third most double-digit sack seasons in franchise history, where they all have 3 right now.
Damn.
He will tie Neil Smith for second most with 4, and will be 3 double-digit sack seasons away from tying Derek Thomas at number 1 with 7.
At his position.
At defensive tackle.
That's crazy.
Getting double-teamed over 70% of the time. These other guys were free-release edge rushers. Neil Smith, a little bit on the inside too. He played a lot of defensive end, though. Neil Smith was kind of in and out, kind of like Chris Jones. But the fact is, you're talking about 3 linebackers in 𝚂𝙿𝙸𝙀, Justin Houston, and obviously Derek Thomas.
Yeah.
And Chris Jones is very much in the mix already. And I think when he's done in the next 3 to 5 years, he's going to be right behind Derek Thomas. I don't think he's going to get 4 more double-digit sack seasons.
Well, that's unfair to expect.
Exactly.
At his position.
But right now, he's at 75.5 sacks in his career.
That alone is insane.
I think he gets another 30, 40 sacks in his career, which would put him right up there with 𝚂𝙿𝙀𝙀. 𝚂𝙿𝙀𝙀, he has 98 right now. He's second all-time. He would pass 𝚂𝙿𝙀𝙀 for second all-time in Chiefs sacks. I think it's perfect. I think this is a perfect scenario for all 3 of these guys. And we know that the historics, I should have put them up here. I apologize to you guys, the viewing and listening audience here, about where Andy Reid is on the apex of things, where he's going to, obviously, I think he's going to pass every other head coach, at least in playoff wins. I think he's going to surpass Bill Belichick in playoff wins. I don't know if he's going to surpass him in Super Bowl victories. I think he has a really good shot because he gave himself a lot of cushion by having that contract extension in 2029.
Yeah.
But the fact is, these core 4 are why I continue to believe. I have my issues. I have my doubts. I get pissed off a lot of times because of the decisions that I don't think are smart, or I think that they're teetering the line of risk way too much. But as long as these 4 dudes are on that field and they're doing their jobs to the best of their abilities, I'm not picking another team in the AFC to beat this team. I told Trevor, I said this on this show 2 years ago, after that Seattle Seahawks game. Remember when the cold, frigid game and Patrick Mahomes just leaned over just enough to get that ball on the pylon? As long as that dude has just a good enough team around him, I'm going to pick this team every time.
Yeah.
Because if you just have enough around Patrick Mahomes, that is enough. Is it something that I like? No. I want Patrick Mahomes to have some riches. I want him to have some spoils. I want him to have a little too much sometimes, where he doesn't have to stress himself out every game and play like a magician half the time. But that's sometimes just how it is in the NFL. And I have to accept that. I have to learn to accept that. And I think that the Chiefs are in prime position to three-peat, guys. I broke this down over a month ago on this show, Trevor, about all the other teams that had a chance to three-peat and how they just were either old, their quarterback was done, their head coach was done, the era passed them up. Whatever the case was, there was always something that kept that team from three-peating. The Chiefs right now, the only thing that's in their way is themselves. If Rashee Rice can't get out of his own way, that could be a detriment.
Yeah.
If some of these rookies that Brett Veach just drafted, like Xavier Worthy and Kingsley Suamataia, if some of these guys don't pan out, that could be a detriment.
They get hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a detriment. If Travis Kelce hits a wall, that could be a detriment. If L'Jarius Sneed ends up becoming a real miss, We're like, damn, man, they are kind of missing him. That could be a detriment. But see, everything we point out is everything the Chiefs can control. Everything that can be a detriment to the Chiefs not winning the Super Bowl is in their hands. I don't believe right now, as it stands, Trevor, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Bills, or any other team in the AFC right now can say, you know what? We're putting up our best against the Chiefs' best, and we're coming out on top. I don't believe that's possible. And that's not a disrespect or a shot or a slight or a jab at any of these other teams.
We just saw it.
Yeah. We just saw the Ravens at their best in Lamar Jackson's career. Patrick Mahomes goes into that house.
We were dogs.
With a rookie wide receiver and a 34-year-old tight end and beat them. We saw the Bills, who've been just chomping at the bit to finally get Patrick Mahomes outside of Arrowhead Stadium in the playoffs. Remember, that was the whole narrative. Oh, just got to get him in Buffalo. Once we get him in Buffalo, they got him. He went in there and hung it on him. Travis Kelce catches 2 touchdown passes. Guys, eventually you have to concede to what is. And what is the Chiefs, as long as they continue to stay out of their own way, which, again, they're kind of teetering that fence right now, but if they stay out of their own way, this team is going to three-peat. And again, we're not trying to make predictions here, but it's like a writing on the wall that you can't help but acknowledge but read. When it's in bold print and you've been staring at it for long enough, you have to eventually just address that's what it says. So with the core 4, Trevor, with the schedule, with all these things in flux right now, like now that we have the schedule, now that we know where things are at, now that you know where the team is kind of set, like this is probably going to be the team. I'd love to see them make a trade for a wide receiver. I'm going to continue to petition that until week 1 and maybe even longer. Having said that, though, we know the defense is set. We know that the coaching staff is set. We know that the quarterback, tight end, all that stuff is where it's at. Is there a detriment outside of the Chiefs that can keep them from three-peating? Maybe it is the schedule. Or maybe it is a rising star like the Texans that could slow the Chiefs down, Trevor, or surprise them in the playoffs. Is that how you feel? Or are you echoing my sentiments a little bit, man?
I mean, I think we understand after what we went through during the duration of the regular season last year, the Chiefs are absolutely beatable. But when it comes to the postseason, that's when the season really starts for us, and I think we know that. I think we've gotten to that point, and we got to that point a lot for those Patriots teams too. They would win 11, 12 games, be cool and content with that, and then they'd flip that switch when it was playoff time because that experience really kicked in. So if we did end up facing a young, fiery team like the Texans, or a vengeful team that's out for blood like the Bengals, if they're healthy come playoff time or something like that. Because when I think of the regular season, bro, I'm not worried about anybody.
Yeah.
And I do think there is something to it, though. Like if the Chiefs do start out 2-0 or 0-2, that's going to really sway, as far as anybody who's betting out there. If the Chiefs start 0-2 against Burrow and Jackson, you think our odds are, we're second place now for Super Bowl odds. Our odds are going to jump or fall way down if we go 0-2. But if we go up 2-0, we're going to immediately be the favorites to win the Super Bowl again. If we start the season 2-0 against those two teams. So there's that too. But at the same time, the schedule is tough as of right now, optically, as what it looks like right now. What we think. I know you said it was 16th. Toughest?
16th, yeah. So it's right down the middle.
I mean, that's all opinion based right now, right? That's all the experts going by what they think these teams that we're facing are going to be like, what they as far as the depth and the talent on these rosters. But at the same time, as the season breaks down, so much changes. So many surprising teams. Teams can, the Chargers could be far improved with a new head coach and Jim Harbaugh now over there. That could be a whole new resurgence that can give them a new, form of life. And we've had a lot of competitive games with the Chargers. We end up on top most of the time, but at the same time, that could be a whole new developing rivalry within our own division too. Who knows? With the guidance of a new great coach over there. But yeah, man, and we're back-to-back champs. I mean, going into this season, I have nothing but the utmost confidence in our coaches, in our, like you said, our core 4, our guys that have been there and done it. Are we going to lose some games during the regular season that we should have won? Of course. It happens every single season with this Chiefs. No matter how great Mahomes is in the year, even his MVP years, we had some terrible losses, right, to some Titans teams that we shouldn't have lost to. Right. And certain things like that we just fell flat in certain weeks. That's going to happen, guys. Right. And we're going to feel deflated, and then we're going to go blow somebody out the next week. And we're like, oh, shit, I forgot. This is who we are. I don't think we're going to go through another tougher season, barring injury, like we did last year. I think this year will be better than last year. Last year was tough. We honestly we lost faith in certain points of being Super Bowl contenders at certain points last year because of the consistent lull that we were in last year, and I don't think that's going to be this year. I know we have a tough schedule as far as what it looks like, and especially the way the season starts. But if we go out to a quick 2-0 start against Burrow and Lamar Jackson, that's going to change the tune very, very quickly for everybody, nationally and especially here. So me personally, man, I'm confident going into every week. After what we made it through last year and still won the fucking Super Bowl, I mean, how can I doubt anything in this team? But I do expect there to be, early season, or maybe not early season, but even some point, maybe in the midseason lulls, or we're going to drop some bad losses, and that's going to happen. But just keep your head up, man. This team knows how to turn it on when it comes time to really play significant, important games, and that's what I'm expecting, man. So, I mean, I'm not putting too much weight in outside of our divisional games. I'm not putting too much weight on these regular season games, man. So,
and I say all that, but I also want to make sure that I do hammer the point home, and I know people roll their eyes when I say it, but because we have our guy, and I hope you guys are excited about it because we have a great guest coming on today from Hot 103 Jamz, Mr. Brian B. Shynin. Him and I, we do a show together called Arrowhead Allies on Tuesdays through our Starcade Media family with Clint Switzer and Noah Groniger, and something that him and I were talking about a little bit. It was a spirited debate. We never people think that Brian and I don't like each other. I love that dude. He's a great dude, and you'll see that when he comes on the show.
That's why we have him on.
Yeah, right. It's something that he talks about. Because Brian is a very matter of fact dude. He said, Lance, just enjoy it. Like they won the Super Bowl, and that is the truth. You can't debate it, and obviously when it happened, I was relieved beyond belief. In fact, I have said it on this show and I've said it elsewhere. This last Super Bowl was the one that I was probably the most. I think it was the most fulfilling. The biggest reason why is because it was so fucking hard. It was so hard on the Chiefs for them to win this one. It was hard on us. I mean, let's be real, man. Yeah. Our guy Ruben Cruz just said it in the chat. Last year was scary. 100%, man. It was like every damn game was unnecessarily close. Outside of like the Bears and Chargers game in Arrowhead, I mean, every game was just so unnecessarily close, and the Chiefs were struggling to score 20 points, and my whole point is I just don't want to see that again, where it's you have Patrick Mahomes in his prime years, you should be racking up points. I'm not saying that every single week you should be hanging 30+. Yeah. My point, though, is that it should be a lot more common than it was last season, which I think they only scored 30 points like 3 or 4 times. That's just not okay, man, and I want to see the Chiefs develop their offense a little bit more, and the biggest reason why is because although we sit here and we talk about how this team is the team to beat, what you don't want to do is rest on your laurels. Yeah. You don't want to sit here and say, hey, because they did it that way last year, let's just keep doing it that way the next year and the year after that. That's not the way to think. You have to be progressive. You have to be proactive. You don't want to be reactive. Because to Brett Veach's credit as the Chiefs GM, he's given in when the Chiefs show clear deficiency. We've talked about it. In the 2020 Super Bowl, getting obliterated by the Buccaneers. You could tell the offensive line needed to be reconstructed. He went out and overcorrected at it and fixed it. That's being reactive. And reactive is fine in those instances. But I want him to be proactive when he sees issues with, okay, Kadarius Toney is not a good football player. Sky Moore is not a good football player.
Bring him back.
We need to add more to this offense. And I think that's why there were rumors about him trying to trade for DK Metcalf. Trying to look, who's interested in what they're talking about Tyler Lockett. If he gets cut, maybe they would sign him. Like, I think the Chiefs know deep down they have to add to this wide receiver room and to the running back room, because I don't know if you saw the news yesterday, Trevor, but LaMichael Pirine got released. Yeah. To me, what we talked about last week, Trevor, you brought him up, and I think it's a great idea, is bringing in 29-year-old Leonard Fournette or 29-year-old Dalvin Cook. Those guys are sitting there right now.
Or even Latavius Murray. I'd take that too.
I mean, he's like 33 years old. He's old, but he's still effective.
He's a banger, though, yeah.
Yeah, go and get what I want them to do is just add another veteran to those rooms. Yeah. And I think a Dalvin Cook, I think a Leonard Fournette, those guys, those are the ones that jump off the board for me because they're still in their 20s and they're still effective pieces. The Dalvin Cook thing to the Jets just never worked because their offense just sucked. Aaron Rodgers never got a chance to really play. Yeah, I think Dalvin Cook would be a fine piece in this offense. I don't think he'd be great, but I think he could have a couple great games. I think he could be a guy that can add to the passing game, a little dump off screens, help just give Isaiah Pacheco a break, because that's the biggest thing. Can they give Isaiah Pacheco a break? Because we know, Trevor, more than ever, that Isaiah Pacheco is going to be so pivotal for another postseason run. You do not want to wear him out during the regular season. So that's why you go and get guys like Leonard Fournette or Dalvin Cook to add with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and a Deneric Prince to kind of just continue just to carry the load to where Isaiah Pacheco isn't worn down by the divisional round. That's my biggest fear is seeing Isaiah Pacheco just clunked out by January. I don't want to see that happen. So I don't want to say I'm worried about the running room right now because I do believe they're going to add a veteran. I'm just curious about when and who. So do you think it's realistic they added Leonard Fournette or Dalvin Cook or Latavius? I don't think Latavius Murray's in their field. He's way too old for them in my opinion.
Yeah. Sure. I'm just saying, like, if need be, like, I would obviously take the other two before him, but I'm just saying, like, just throw him as a third. I hope so. I don't know, man. I feel like they won't. Personally, I don't know. Bringing in an older running back just doesn't seem like their thing. To be honest with you, I don't know. They like to find these. Yeah, but he was more. He was like 28. He was more of a specific skill set kind of guy. Granted, Leonard Fournette can do that too. He's a great pass pro guy and a great goal line back. So I would love to have that on our team. I was all in going after Derrick Henry as well. I wanted that to happen as well, but he got paid. But either way, I mean, I think them moving off Pirine is a specific move to tell me that they are going to try to bring in either another running back or another receiver, right? So, yeah, man, they got to make a move here, right? That's got to happen. They've got to do something. They've got to bring in somebody. We wanted OBJ, we wanted these guys, we wanted Tyler Lockett could become available by the trade deadline, possibly, depending on how the Seahawks season is going. If they're flourishing and they're on top of their division or something, not a surprise, then there's no way they're going to move off of him, especially if he's playing well. But who knows, man? I fully expect the Chiefs to make moves here. They've got moves to make. They got to obviously to let someone to walk. So we were already lacking depth at the running back position. So now we're that much thinner at that position. So it feels like a definite need. So I feel like they've got to. For me, it's Leonard Fournette makes way too much sense, honestly, for this roster. A guy who has a lot of playoff experience too. A guy that you don't even really need to play until similar to the Ronald Jones thing we did with Ronald Jones. We kind of held him and we never ended up really using him at all. But we kind of helped him just in hope, maybe unleashing him in the postseason. It didn't really pan out that way, but Leonard Fournette's far better than Ronald Jones ever was, right? So that could be a guy that I would love to see, honestly. And I've made that clear the last couple episodes on here.
Yeah, and it's already scarce out there as it is right now with free agents. So I think our guy Max Wasson makes a good point when he says that the Chiefs will probably be waiting for the June 1st cuts. Yeah. I agree. I think that's probably what they're looking at now because that's a week and a half away. I mean, that's before we know it, that's going to be the case. And that's something that the Chiefs could be looking at with Kadarius Toney. If they don't feel good about him moving into the training camp, maybe he's a training camp cut. At this point, they got to be open-minded to whatever they need to do to add to this offense because I think it just comes down to a one to two pieces where they can just have a couple guys that they can bring in because our one of our guys, and I know we were probably going to save this for the Speak It, but Dustin did ask the question about do we want Pringle or Hardman back? Yeah. The thing about it is, man, I think both those guys should be back. Look, Byron Pringle is not a needle mover. Neither is Nicole Hardman. But not every wide receiver you have, not every skill position guy you have is going to be a needle mover.
Right.
At the top of your room, you want that. You want guys that are needle pushers.
You just need guys that can do their jobs consistently.
Exactly. And Byron Pringle in Kansas City was that guy.
Sure.
He was a good possessions receiver, and we know Nicole Hardman, who has his inefficiencies, who has his weaknesses, is a burner, an incredible gimmick player who made a big catch in the Super Bowl that won the game. Like those are things that you have to address.
Yeah, and Byron Pringle is a guy that Mahomes found in the end zone quite a bit. He had a good connection when things got tight. He knew how to create space. So that's creating space and catching the goddamn football. That's all you really need to do to win a Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. The name on the jersey does not matter. Can you create space? Can you get open? Can you catch the ball?
Because that's literally what they did. That's literally what they did this postseason.
Yeah.
They took the guys out that aren't catching the ball, and they said, MVS, catch lobs.
Yeah, you don't even got to be great after the catch. You only need a couple guys that are good after the catch.
Against the Ravens,
you just catch the fucking ball.
The 3rd and 9 play, Patrick just lobs the ball in the air, and MVS just lets it fall in his chest. Like,
go down.
Just make that catch, and when you'll be a hero. Like that's all. So that's how low the standard is for wide receiver right now.
Yeah.
For running back, it's like can they just give enough cushion around Pacheco because he's the key. If he stays healthy going into the postseason, the Chiefs' offense is going to be in good shape because he's that deadly of a running back. That's the point, though, is that right now they do not have those horses, though. So I would like to see that. I honestly think the best fit's probably Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's probably the best because he's a dual threat.
It's good receiving back.
Yes, exactly. And losing McKinnon.
He's also fragile.
He is. But so was McKinnon when he came to Kansas City. And he found himself some good luck and health. And that's praise to the Chiefs medical staff for keeping these guys healthy. And we're going to talk about them in a little bit as well today. But no, I definitely think that there are options out there for the Chiefs. Will they exercise said options? That is something I am curious about. And before we, I want to go with it, Trevor, because I want to get the chat involved in this. I want you guys to give me your take on this before we have our guy, Brian B. Shynin on the show from 103 Hot Jams, Hot Jams 103. So I did a comparison this week, a couple weeks ago, and I've kind of holstered it. And first and foremost, let me just say, guys, that I'm happy that Brett Veach is the Chiefs GM, and I wouldn't want anybody else to be the Chiefs GM right now. But we do know that John Dorsey did a good job in his short time in Kansas City. He didn't do a great job, but he did a good job.
He knows how to collect talent.
Yes, why he did a good job? He may have whiffed in a lot of the others.
And the numbers.
He nailed it when it came to the stars.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, Tyreek Hill. I mean, Kareem Hunt. Those guys were stars on this team. Patrick Mahomes, he drafted Patrick Mahomes. I got to give him the credit. So I did this little comparison, and we don't have the slide here, but I just wanted to throw it out there. So John Dorsey had 38 total draft picks. He had 29 hits. What do I mean by hits? Hits are players that have played more than 3 seasons in the NFL, because the average NFL career is 3.5 years. So if you play more than 3.5 years, I consider you a hit because you exceeded expectation. So he had 29 players he drafted that played at least 4 seasons in the league. He had 10 quality picks. Quality picks are players that were or are still career starters. And then he had 4 star picks, players that obviously have Hall of Fame potential or without question, first ballot Hall of Famers. He signed and extended Alex Smith, who everyone credits for turning the Chiefs around and mentoring Patrick Mahomes. Extended Dustin Colquitt, who was an awesome punter in his time. He signed both Jeff and Mitchell Schwartz. He signed Jeremy Maclin. He extended Justin Houston, extended Travis Kelce, extended Tamba Hali, extended Eric Fisher, drafted Eric Fisher, I might add, signed Nick Foles, who saved the Chiefs season that year, extended Eric Berry, who I know people look at those numbers and say, oh, that was terrible. Guys, Eric Berry was one of the greatest safeties of his generation. I'm not even going to be here for
one of
that.
The few jerseys I own.
And extended LDT, who was a starting guard for the Chiefs in Super Bowl 54. Brett Veach, in his first 38 draft picks, 27 hits to John Dorsey's 29. Obviously, it's not fair to go all the way in, because obviously Brett Veach has 2023 and 2024 to be determined still. It'll probably be a lot more than what John Dorsey has. But at this point, to the first 38 picks, he has 27 to John's 29. He has 14 quality picks to John Dorsey's 10. So the quality picks is where Brett Veach starts to really hit. We've talked about this. Players that obviously are career starters. And right now, he's only gotten 2 star picks, in my opinion, in the draft. I think Creed Humphrey and Trent McDuffie are those stars. Now, Rashid could become one. I think that L'Jarius Sneed's had a flash in the pan. I don't think he's a full-fledged star, though. I think he has had a season of being a star, but I don't know that L'Jarius Sneed his whole career has been a star. I think that the star players are guys that are recognizable across the league. Like, you see other fans like, oh, that's Trent McDuffie. Oh, that's Creed Humphrey. Like, I think that people recognize those names.
Sure.
And I think those are the 2 guys right now. And like I said, Rashee Rice, if he gets his head out of his rectum, I think he can become that guy as well.
He's already a polarizing guy.
Yes. Kingsley Suamataia. I think Xavier Worthy. I think some of these other guys have those potentials as well. And then all of a sudden these numbers change. But right now I think it's 2 to 4 on the star players. But here's some notables that Brett Veach did outside of drafting. He traded Alex Smith, traded Marcus Peters, signed Chad Henne, which we all love Chad Henne, signed Damian Williams, who was an absolute juggernaut in the postseason,
Yep.
signed Tyrann Mathieu, Chiefs Hall of Famer, traded for Frank Clark and extended him, extended Mitchell Schwartz, extended Harrison Butker, extended Tyreek Hill, extended Travis Kelce, signed Joe Thuney, traded for Orlando Brown Jr., signed Jerick McKinnon, signed Justin Rabbit Ears Reed, signed Juju Smith-Schuster, traded for Kadarius Toney. He re-signed Nick Allegretti, who was obviously huge for this postseason run, signed Drew Tranquill, and signed Juwan Taylor, Charles Omenihu, Mike Edwards, re-signed Jerick McKinnon, and then traded for McCole Hardman back, who obviously caught the game-winning touchdown. So in other words, both these GMs have cooked. And if you ask me right now who I would take, it's Brett Veach. But man, it's closer than I think a lot of people thought, because people thought that John Dorsey just wrote all these bad checks. And he did. In the grand scheme of things, the Justin Houston contract didn't pan out because of his injuries, and same with Eric Berry. But in the time that he paid those guys, we all sat here and were like, oh, God, that was common sense. It just didn't pan out. Brett Veach, to his own chagrin, has had his own bad signing. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Like, Frank Clark obviously did great in the postseason, but he was never worth the contract he got.
This feels very much like a Mark Jackson transitioning to a Steve Kerr situation.
Yeah.
Right? Because Mark Jackson was a very respected guy amongst the league, was a solid coach, but he had things about him that made him very polarizing, and guys in the locker room started to dislike him a little bit. He tried to sun people too much, but he also developed great talent, built a team. Steve Kerr took that team and won multiple championships.
Steve was better coach, better I don't say better
comes
person,
from the Popovich tree. Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, similar, Brett Veach is from the Andy Reid tree. He groomed him. That's a word that's triggering to a lot of people nowadays, but he groomed him into what he is, and that's his trusted guy, right? John Dorsey was just more of a friend of Andy Reid.
And he didn't have very good communication skills.
Brett Veach into what he is.
Yeah, John didn't have good communication skills. Him and Andy Reid were fine. They worked together fine, but John had bad communication skills. Like, remember the whole Jeremy Maclin debacle?
Well, and just even when the extension of Justin Houston was, he overpaid him, for being honest. He should have played a little hardball, which is, I mean, I love Justin Houston.
The man had one of the greatest seasons in NFL history, though.
I get it, man, but that money was hefty, and it really screwed the rest of the team. It really handicapped us in a lot of ways. But yeah, I mean, as far as eye for talent, I mean, without question, John Dorsey, and he's still doing it. He's still, he's working with, I think, who's he with now? He was with the Browns for a little bit. Now he's with I forget. Was it Detroit?
Detroit. Yeah, it was a blue team.
So, I mean, look at he's helping over there as an advisor for scouts and all that. He knows how to find talent. Yeah, and they're building something great in Detroit now. They just drafted their asses off last 2 years. Right. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that's my cross-sport comparison. That's what it kind of feels like. It's a similar, because Steve Kerr took that team as Brett Veach did, and we've won multiple championships now to this point, looking at a three-peat. So
some notable whiffs too between these two guys is in the draft in particular, as we all know. Famously, Brett Veach took McCole Hardman over DK Metcalf, and then he took Sky Moore over George Pickens. And then you have John Dorsey taking Tano Passanio over Alvin Kamara. That is one that Chiefs fans, anybody that paid attention to the draft back then, they never let go of that.
Did we still have Jamal Charles that time?
2017, I think he went to the Broncos, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I was going to say, if we still have Jamal, I get why we probably passed on.
Done at that time. I mean,
this is true.
His knees
stay
were
healthy.
shot.
Yeah.
His knees were shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that, like I said, the Chiefs have had a very good, because we give Brett Veach a lot of credit and a lot of criticism for a lot of things that he's doing. I think he was put in a really good position, though, because obviously the team drafted the quarterback he wanted them to draft all along, and you got to give Brett that credit.
Yep.
But John was the one that pulled the trigger, so you have to give him credit too.
Veach did double down and say he's the best player I've ever seen.
Right.
So those are Veach's words. Those are Veach's vouchers for Patrick Mahomes too. So he played his part.
Right. Yeah. So I think that both. I think what I'm saying is, I think because there's still like this like underlying
lack of trust
debate. Well, there's still like a group of fans that still wish that John Dorsey was the GM. I'm serious.
That's crazy.
I'm not one of them. For the record, I'm not.
Yeah.
If John Dorsey still was, I'd be okay. But this team, we have to understand, this team would look a lot different. And I posted a poll, Trevor. I don't know if you saw it. I don't have it on the slides, but I asked a question a little bit ago. See if I can find it real quick, because I wanted to get people's ideas on this about where people stand on John Dorsey.
And I also want to say too, Brett Veach he's had so much early success, but you got to understand, he's still getting his feet wet as a GM. Brett Veach has not been a GM very long. He's one of the youngest GMs in the entire league, right? And this is an old man's job a lot of times, right? This is a job that takes a lot of experience to really become great at it. That's changing a little bit amongst head coaches and GMs.
Yes,
the youth movement is happening across the league. But at the same time, like, this is a guy that walked. I mean, granted, he's blessed to have the quarterback that he does and the head coach that he has and the head coach that brought him up through the system, and he worked his way up to be here. But at the same time, it's not every day you see younger GMs like Brett Veach consistently drafting great talent, and especially the last two drafts. I mean, we're going to see what this draft holds too. But I mean, his hit rate has become extremely high.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got to give this guy his credit, man.
And just to put it out here before, our guy Brian B. Shynin from Hot 103 Jamz will be here in just a moment, guys, so stay tuned. I cannot wait to get to his thoughts on everything, all things Chiefs, all things NFL. I did pose this question, Trevor, on May 10th. I said, if the Chiefs would have never fired John Dorsey as their GM, how many Super Bowl titles would they currently have from 2018 to present? There were almost 600 votes. 66% said one. But here's the thing. 34% said two or more. So, like I said, there's still this like small community, like a third of Chiefs fans that's still, remember we had our guy Anthony Stratton on years ago from Arrowhead Guys. Remember he came on the show. That's where our guy Daniel Harms comes from. Yeah. We had him on the show back in the podcast days. And I remember him saying the same thing about, why Bob Sutton was incorrectly fired. He said that, well, when Brett Veach took over, he started building a defense differently than what John Dorsey was. John Dorsey was building defenses for Bob Sutton. He felt like Brett Veach was building defenses for the next DC, which was going to be Spags. And that's why you saw Bob Sutton fail ultimately. Because to Bob Sutton's credit, those first 3 seasons, they had elite defenses.
Well, throughout his career, he's led some great defenses, man, without question.
My thing was, what I disagreed with Anthony on that one was, I believe that what it had more to do with was that Bob didn't want to adjust. Whereas, like, if you look at Spags, the credit to Spags is Spags has always been known to have more veteran-type defenses. You've seen over the last 2-3 years, he's had a lot of youth. Yeah. And so he's had to adjust to the way he coaches, and it's panned out. I don't think Bob Sutton would have ever done that.
Which it's his right.
Yeah, and I don't think it would be true.
He has his system.
But I think that would have reigned true all the way up. I don't think John Dorsey was willing to change the way he was doing things. I think he had a style, a method, and he wanted to stick to it. I think you have to be able, and especially when you work with Andy Reid, you have to be somebody that's willing to adjust. Yes, you have to be fluid, and that's something I think your point's very valid about the fact that Brett Veach was a guy from his early 20s. You know what? He was
just a scout.
This is how I kind of visualize this relationship. This is kind of how I visualize it. And it is different because he's not going to take over Andy Reid, obviously. But I kind of vision the Chiefs like the Miami Heat. You have Pat Riley, who's the guy. Andy Reid, that's the dude, right? Everybody follows, and he's the culture setter, right?
He's a guy.
And then you have this young dude that starts off in the fucking screen room.
Yeah, he was a camera
camera director guy.
Yeah.
And he works his way all the way up and becomes a successor in Eric Spoelstra. That's kind of how I see Andy Reid and Brett Veach's relationship. So this was probably inevitable anyway, no matter who was the GM. Because like I said, I think to John Dorsey's, to his defense, he did a pretty good job. Yeah. Because not only did they have elite players that he drafted and went and brought in, by the way, they were consistently a playoff team in the hunt for the division with Peyton Manning in the division and Phillip Rivers. Yeah. With Alex Smith, who had all his limitations in throwing the ball. I mean, I know everybody praises Alex Smith, and the dude's a great dude, but
he was a winner.
We can't sit here and pretend like the guy didn't average 20 touchdowns a season.
We weren't winning because his gifts and his abilities. We were winning because he was a player that played not to lose games, and it worked a lot.
He was playing Gardner Minshew football
until it mattered the most. Yeah.
That's what it was. The Chiefs were still winning 10, 11, 12 games a season.
Yeah,
and so I look at John Dorsey. I think he did a really good job to set up a guy like Brett Veach because he built him stars, and then Brett Veach has been building upon those stars. Now we will see if Brett Veach can build stars upon stars, because I do believe Kingsley 𝚂𝙾𝙺 is going to be a star.
I agree.
I think that Xavier Worthy has star potential.
I think Jared Wiley has star potential.
I think there's some stars on this team right now that he's drafted. I think that Trent McDuffie could be that star at corner. I think if he has another All-Pro season, the Chiefs are probably going to have to pay Trent McDuffie. If not, they're going to trade him for a boatload, DK Metcalf. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, they can go out there. Not enough. They can go out there and make moves based upon what Brett Veach can bring to the team via the draft, via UDFAs, via free agents, things of that nature. And I think that both these GMs have set this franchise up for years to come. I think that John Dorsey, I think if John Dorsey was still the Chiefs GM, Trevor, I think the Chiefs would have multiple Super Bowls, but their window to win would be a lot shorter. because Brett Veach is the kind of guy that drafts in the way of more of a long-term success.
Yeah, there's a revolving door.
Yes.
At certain replaceable positions, he understands the replaceable positions, and I think he's a far better businessman at this point already.
Well, and I will
really
say,
do. I don't think he's making choices based off emotion or anything like that, or to please people. I think he's making his strictly business.
And I do think that John Dorsey, to be honest with you, would be more of an attractive GM to work for veterans. Like free agents out there would probably rather come
he's
to
got his guys paid
because he'll pay you. Yeah. Brett Veach is like, hey man, it's like the Pawn Stars guy. Hey man, best I can do is $3.99. The best I can do is give you like the low ball. Yeah. That's kind of how Brett Veach does things. That drives me nuts sometimes, but I ultimately see more times than not he does it the right way, where you don't want to overspend on a guy that's already played 7-8 years in the league. You want veterans, but you don't want to spend top dollar on those guys, especially when you already have a team that's been winning in the way that they have. Yeah. So that's the way I look at it. But that's just my perspective. That's just your perspective, Trevor. It is. Every once in a while, we need to get a third-party perspective. And I think, Trevor, I'm not mistaken, someone just joined the Cool Zone. Let's go ahead and I think am I lying? I think somebody just joined the Cool Zone, Cool Guy Zone.
Guess where you just got into? Cool Guy Zone.
That's right. Our guy, this is something I've been waiting for so damn long. We just had Ryan Tracy on the show this last week. We had a great time with him. We've been trying to chase him down. We try to get down the busy guys because we know the busy guys are the ones that you want on the show because they're the ones that bring the knowledge. They're the ones that bring the expertise. And this is a buddy of mine. This is a dude I do a show with outside of the Spoken podcast, a dude that I love to have back and forth with because he's a matter-of-fact kind of guy. And he listens to me, run my mouth for 35 minutes, and he gives me a 2-minute response that kind of debacles the whole thing. That's why I had him on the show today. Let's give it up for Hot 103 Jamz host, Arrowhead Allies contributor, the one, the only, Brian B. Shynin. What's up, Brian?
Hey, thank you for having me on, fellas. It's a pleasure. I just want to start out the show by letting you all know that below the waist, I don't have any pants on. So we're going to get wild.
Makes two of us.
Let's get it in.
Three's a company, baby. Three's a company.
It's getting hot outside.
Right. Skies out, thighs out. That's my motto.
That's right, man.
That's right.
Well, I appreciate the transparency. This is a good way to start the show because that's what we need from you today, man. Because this is the time of the year where you're looking for things to talk about, at least things positively. And I know that's kind of where you like to reside, more on the positive side of things. But man, it just feels like every turn we have now, and there's always some negative thing going down. And it's not something we talked about on the show so far. I wanted to save this one for you. We saw the news yesterday about Wanya Morris getting busted, having possession of marijuana. For me, man, I feel like this is such a non-story. I mean, obviously you want to be careful where you're at and things of that nature, but it's 2024, and people getting busted for a harmless plant is such a stupid thing to me. I'm just off the top here, while we're all sitting here pantless, what are your thoughts on this situation, man? I feel like it's such a non-story. I feel like it should not go anywhere. But where do you stand on this right now, Brian?
Oh, man, what a wild time it is to be a fan of the 90s. Of the 99. My bad. The 2020 Chiefs. Because I don't know about you guys, but my brain immediately went to Tamarick Vanover and Bam Morris and Wayne Simmons and Dale Carter when I saw those mug shots on the news yesterday. It's really not a big deal. It's really we know what this is. I'm gonna keep it real with you. It's being black in Johnson County. I done experienced it. A number of my friends and family have experienced it being over there, and you're in a neighborhood or a place that you're not supposed to be in, and you get pulled over. I don't know the specific details of what happened with Wanya Morris. My other man's name is missed upon me right now, but with the Chiefs, I don't know what happened with them as far as them getting arrested, if they were driving or if they were, I don't know what happened. But I know with me and the people who I know, that's what happens frequently to black people in Johnson County. So it's no surprise to me. It's a misdemeanor weed case, bro. What, a slap on the wrist? What, just drive to, what Andy Reid is gonna tell him, bro, just drive to Missouri and right. You'll be okay. All right, like the government just labeled it as a class 3 drug now instead of a class 1. So like, man, what we talk about? What we doing? It's people making billions and billions and billions of dollars off of marijuana, and you hassling these dudes off of, you know, whatever they had. It was a misdemeanor, so it wasn't that much. It's the police messing with people. That's what we call it. It's another word, starts with an F, ends with a G, but to keep it 100 with you, that's what it is. And they're chiefs, and you know, anything that labels, bro. I was watching the news yesterday, and that led the newscast.
Right,
yeah, that's crazy.
That led it led the entire show. So it's a misdemeanor weed charge, bro. Yeah. like, bro, we got a whole war going on. We got a whole genocide going on in the world. And the first thing we got to talk about is the Chiefs misdemeanor weed stop. So I say that to say that whenever the Chiefs are involved in anything, it's the 90s Cowboys, dog. We're really there. We're there because whenever that name is mentioned, it sparks headlines, it moves eyeballs, and it gets attention. So it's really not a big deal. It's making a mountain out of a mole.
Yep. That's well put, man. I could have said it better myself because like I said, I feel it's such a non-story. I hated that they had Wanya's mug shot all over the TV, all over social media. Mayor Quentin Lucas said that was ridiculous. I agree with him 100%. I wish this was just a non-story. I wish we'd all grow up about these things, but that's where we're at. And you're 100% correct about the things you addressed, man. And, you know, to kind of add to what's going on this offseason, you know, you and I have had our conversations about Rashi on the Arrowhead Allies, and you know, to Rashi's credit, he hasn't gotten in trouble in the last week or two, but we know that there's two things that are going against him right now, and something you and I had talked about on the show is what do the Chiefs do while Rashi's dealing with this, because we're assuming right now Rashi's probably going to be missing some time this season, and it does sound like it'll be earlier in the year, which means that more than likely opening game he may not be there to play, and let's say that is the scenario. The Chiefs have two guys at the top of their wide receiver room that have never played in this offense. One's a veteran in Hollywood Brown. The other one's Xavier Worthy, rookie. I'm a little concerned about that. The good thing is they'll have Travis Kelce back. They didn't have him in week 1 last year. They have more depth. I think they have a better offensive line this year. And we know that the three-peat is their goal. We heard them on the stage accepting the Lombardi Trophy in the Super Bowl last year talking about the three-peat. So we know where their mind is. We know this team is in unison for that one goal in mind. But going into this schedule, we've all seen the schedule now. You know that the Chiefs have no easy start. They got to go against the Ravens. They got to go against the Bengals, and these home games start off the season. Do you think that this offense is going to struggle out the gate like it did last season, or do you think they're going to take some things from last season, utilize it with the two guys they have in their wide receiver room that weren't there last year, with or without Rashee Rice, and really start to ignite things and get off on a better start?
Well, I don't think Rashee Rice makes or breaks this offense. He adds to it, definitely, most certainly, and you will feel the impact with him not being there, but Lance, after last year, like I don't care who's at wide receiver now. Like, and I know Kelsey's a year older, but what the Chiefs were able to do with that group last year, which was pathetic. I just like the regular season for that wide receiver room was awful. Postseason, of course, they took it another level, and that's really what you want. But I'm not too concerned about what the Chiefs will do at wide receiver. I think staying stagnant is probably the best option. I'm not looking to add anybody to this room. I think we have enough. I think my thing is with the Chiefs, they'll have to switch up the philosophy a little bit. I think you lean more into Pacheco. Why not? Almost a contract year for him. And you know the Chiefs are not going to extend him. That's just, I've always thought about that with Pacheco. I think he's going to be way too expensive out of the Chiefs' taste for what they want to pay a running back. If the Chiefs don't have to pay anything at a position, they're not going to do it, fam. Right. Especially at running back. That's an easy position where you can easily trim the fat, and Pacheco is going to demand some money. And one of these teams is going to pay him for that. So I don't see him being here much longer. So ride the horse while he's here. And I think he's fully capable. He's a year older, a year stronger, a year faster. I think you lean more into him, perhaps use those tight ends a little more. Maybe you get the rookie involved a little bit in some of those and some of those packages. I don't know what we're gonna do with this tight end. This tight end room, this has been the best since probably Andy Reid's got here. Kelsey, Irv Smith, Noah Gray, plus you got the rookie too. So I think the Chiefs should lean more into like 21 personnel, double tight, single back with Pacheco, stretch it out, play action it out. You know, not necessarily having 3 receivers. Maybe you have 3 receivers on the field, you know, on certain situations. But I think for the most part, you play 21 personnel, you can get by with that.
I like it. You know, speaking of the running back room, Trevor and I briefly talked about this earlier about they have to add something. We saw the news yesterday. They released LaMichael P. Ryan. And, you know, that wasn't a guy that really did much last season, but he was a depth piece. So then moving off of him, saving the $1 million to their cap, I have to believe there's going to be something they're going to do. And I know there's 2 notable veterans out there that I would like to see the Chiefs bring in. Right now, as it stands, the 2 free agents that I like are Leonard Fournette and Dalvin Cook. Now, Dalvin Cook did not play well last season with the Jets, but I think it had more to do with who he was playing with. Because more times than not, when Dalvin's healthy, he's an effective piece. I think with the absence now of Jerick McKinnon, knowing that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a better running back 3 than a running back 2, I would like to see them go and get one of these veterans. Leonard, big physical running back, has a lot of playoff experience. Dalvin, dual threat running back, a little fragile, but he can get out there and make some plays. I would like to see the Chiefs, their goal in mind would be, let's keep Isaiah Pacheco as fresh as possible during the regular season, because to your point, they're probably not going to pay him long-term, so they're going to try to utilize him as much as they can in the postseason because he's a deadly running back. I would like to see them go and get one of these veterans that can kind of help get through the rough times of the NFL season because it's a long season. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that they're fine at running back right now, or do you think, you know, adding a Dalvin Cook, adding a Leonard Fournette would probably be the better option at this point?
Now, that's something that I like. I don't know. I think I have a secret crush on running backs. I think I do, man, because having a good running back it's like having a very dependable car. Have you ever had a car that wasn't dependable? Have you ever had that?
A to B.
Oh man, it's some of the worst stuff ever. Okay, you don't know at any given moment where you're at. It could break down. You're worried on the highway. Oh, is my tires okay? Is this okay? Like road trips, you can forget about it. The Legends is a road trip if you have a car like the kind of one that I had to grow up with. And then you have to worry about getting a new car every other 6 months or every other year. Okay, so how does that transition to a running back? Well, have you ever had a running back that fumbles? Have you ever had a running back that drops wide open passes? Running backs who can't find a hole? Okay, look, a dependable running back can move your offense where a terrible running back could never take your offense. Of course, that's common sense or whatever. But what I'm saying is, if you bring in a vet, I think the Chiefs need that. I think the Chiefs need a vet for the other running backs in the room, and not just to play, but to provide influence and to teach them, you know, the ins and outs. I think Jerick McKinnon took a leadership role with that. I think he kind of let Pacheco and Clyde kind of do their thing, but he also showed by example. And I thought I think he seemed to be a great coach on the sideline. I have no sources on that or anything, but that's just what I get his relationship was with Clyde and Pacheco. But I think I am concerned about our running back position because beyond Clyde, and I love P. Ryan. I'm not sure why the Chiefs cut him. They must have some other jewels on deck. And that's another thing with running backs is that that's why they're not getting paid, because they're so easy to find now. And that's where I see wide receivers going in the next 5 years or so. There's going to be so many great wide receivers coming out. You don't need to pay any of them because another one is just going to come through in the draft. So I think that's where we are with running backs. But I would love for the Chiefs to go out and sign a vet. Now you're talking Leonard Fournette or Dalvin Cook. Sign me up for Dalvin all day, even though I hate that he's injury prone. But man, you said it. He can shake. He can run you over. He can catch. He has game-breaking speed. I think Dalvin Cook matches this offense perfectly, and I think he would be a better fit than Leonard Fournette is what? 30 what? 2?
I think he's 29.
33?
I think he's 29.
Okay.
Yeah, he came in the league young.
Yeah.
He came in real young.
Yeah, I give me Dalvin Cook. Sign me up
Yeah.
for him all day, every day in this running back room. Him, Pacheco, you know, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not too keen on Clyde. Although, you know, he's very athletic for his size. You remember that catch in New England last year?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, very athletic for his size. I just think the Chiefs could do a little better there at running back.
I definitely agree with you. And just a side note, I think they're keeping Clyde just for the familiarity factor. I think that they just like the fact that he's been in the offense 4 years now, and I just think that they just like having familiar faces. That if in fact they have to have a big game out of him 1 week, they know that he can probably conjure up one. He has one big game in his holster for a season, and he's been a reliable guy when he's been healthy. He's never been a first round pick. That's the problem, is where he was drafted. But to talk about the schedule real quick, Brian, obviously we have no idea how these other teams are going to pan out. You know, you see them from the previous year, and then you compare them to this year, you're thinking, oh man, right. Chiefs got a tough schedule. Oh man, you know, this and that. But one of these teams that are expected to be really good can be bad. One of these bad teams can end up being really good. It happens every season. Now the Chiefs, despite having an early bye week, which I'm not a big fan of, they they play every day outside of Tuesday. The first NFL team to do that in 97 years. The 49-day stretch with only one home game. Some of these things aren't ideal, but we know, man, when it comes to the strength of the schedule, when you're a first-place team every year, that's just going to be the reality things. You just have to face that. And to be honest with you, the Chiefs right now sit there with the 16th toughest schedule in the league, so you're right down the middle, which I'll take every damn year if the Chiefs get it. You look at the Steelers, you look at the Browns, you look at the Ravens, you look at the 49ers, you look at some of these other teams, they got it way worse than the Chiefs right now. But I'm not sitting here trying to convince you. If this schedule worries you at all, let me know right now what it is that worries you at all. Because like I said, they start off hot out the gate against two AFC contenders. Is that something you're concerned about? Or you're like, you know what? This schedule got the Chiefs, not the other way around. How do you feel about it now, Brian?
Well, I mean, I am, and I get why we break down the schedule and why we go into it. I think like mock drafts, it's worthless because of what you said in the beginning of that. We don't know where these teams are going to be at. Right. We don't know who's going to get hurt. Like last year, everybody was looking forward to the Bengals and Chiefs on New Year's Eve. Well, voila. Burrow, got injured in week whatever it was earlier in the season. And then all of a sudden that Bengals game doesn't look the same. So, I'll tell you one last year's schedule. I said, why the hell do they have the Chiefs going to the Packers on Sunday Night Football? And going into last year, the Packers weren't looked at as a playoff contender at all. Jordan Love was unproven. And so the NFL really took a gamble with that, I thought, because I thought we first looking at the schedule last year, I thought we were going to steamroll the Packers on Sunday Night Football. And then that's one of the worst games of the season for the Chiefs. I think the defense allowed the most points of the year against the Packers in that game with 27 points. Jordan Love got in our ass. MVS did not catch that ball, by the way. That had a lot to do with it. But Jordan Love balled out. So I say all that to say we don't know what the schedule can see. Like the Texans, for instance, everybody's putting their eggs in the basket for the Houston Texans. And this game is on December 21st. That's a noon game. What?
Right.
Against the Tech at Arrowhead? Excuse me. So that'll probably get flexed. But we don't know what will happen with the Texans this year. We don't know if CJ Stroud can duplicate what he did at the end of last season. So I don't put a lot of stock into looking at the schedule now and trying to predict wins or losses or games or whatever. But I will say this though. That Christmas game pisses me off. It does. I understand, we're the Chiefs, as we talked about at the top of my appearance on here. We are the Chiefs. We are who we are, 90s Cowboys, 90s Bulls, whatever. But damn it, that Christmas last year, I got PTSD from it. It was the worst Christmas I have ever had. Okay. And that includes the first Christmas I experienced without my father when he died in 2006. That Christmas last year was terrible. The Chiefs did not want to be there. Patrick Mahomes didn't want to be there. Throwing the pick six and then fumbling the ball and them scooping and scoring within 14 seconds of each other or whatever it was. We almost broke our own damn record for scoring. We're supposed to be the one scoring in 13 seconds, not other teams, especially these bastards, the Raiders. Okay, they marched in the Arrowhead and was the Grinch. Okay, they destroyed Christmas for Kansas City in 2023. I didn't want to experience that again. The only good thing about this Christmas game this year, I guess, if it's any good in it, is that we're going to Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh is not coming here. So perhaps the Chiefs had the opportunity to be the Grinch in Pittsburgh and steal Christmas from Russell Wilson or whoever's going to be starting for the Steelers at that time. Other than that, though, man, this is what you get when not only when you are the Chiefs, but when you win your damn division 8 years in a row. You know, you're going to get a first place schedule. You're going to get all the highlights. You're going to get the primetime games. You're going to get the microscope put on you, like somebody said in the chat. So nothing surprises me with this. It's just that Christmas game really pisses me off. It really does.
Well, hopefully Andy will dress up as Santa Claus going into the stadium to kind of add to it, you know, kind of get the guys going. Or maybe he dresses as the Grinch, you know, with like the mustache sticking out. I mean, I think Andy could get really creative with this just to kind of get the guys into the spirit of things. Because I'm with you. You could tell they were just not engaged at all in that game. I think it's both because they were playing against a team they've been owning for years now, and on Christmas Day, I'm sure their wives and their kids are probably not happy that they're not going to be there to watch them open presents, things of that nature. A lot of things are going on at that time. So I'm with you on that one, man. I think that's the biggest reason why a lot of fans share your PTSD.
I need Andy Reid to dress like one of the sticky bandits. Let's do that. Huh?
There you go.
Still us a win.
Give us some
in
Joe
Pittsburgh,
Pesci,
baby.
As long as the Steelers don't have the handle that's hot as hell, like Macaulay Culkin had it, man, where he starts cussing outside, throwing it in the snow. But
that's how Andy Reid probably cusses too. Travis Kelce bumps into him during the AFC Championship game.
Come on, Marv.
Oh, that's good. That's good, man. It's always good to have people on the show that can appreciate 90s comedies, because we get some of these young bucks on here and they're just looking at us like, man, like their eyes go cross-eyed, man. They don't know what we're talking about.
Home Alone probably is I don't know. I don't know where other people stand. Home Alone probably is the best Christmas movie.
It's definitely up there.
To us, I guess. I was born in 85, so
88 here.
Home Alone came right in the middle of my beginning of my childhood. So Home Alone 1 and 2 will always be near and dear to me. But my mama, though, she would not go. We would go to Blue Ridge Mall every single back then. It wasn't considered Black Friday. It was called something else. So, but it was Black Friday of 92, I think. And Home Alone was fresh out. It was like 2 weeks old or whatever in the theaters. And I wanted to go see that damn movie at Blue Ridge Mall, and Mama wasn't having it. We had other things to do. So, but she did give me a Talk Boy. Christmas was that Christmas of '97. She did give me a Talk Boy. Yeah,
heck yeah.
There you go.
I was playing jokes on Lowe's wasn't open back then, so I can't lie and say I was playing jokes on the Motel 6. McAllister.
Some crank calls.
Keep your change,
with the Talk Boy.
Oh man.
But I got a couple more questions for you, Brian, because first of all, man, we appreciate your time being here with us today, man. I know that you got a lot of things going on in your life. And first of all, congratulations to all your success at Hot 103, man. You guys are doing great work. You represent the city better than most do, bro.
I try to, man.
No, you do a great job, man, honestly. I want to get your thoughts on we talk about the mentality of the three-peat. We know that the team is obviously very focused and fixated on that because they really have a genuine chance to doing this. It isn't some far-fetched idea that, they won a couple and now they've aged out. The AFC's starting to catch up on them. No, they really have a legit shot at doing this, unlike any other team that's won back-to-back titles. But we know there's always a detriment. We know there's always something that you have to look out for and avoid. And we know that this offseason, probably more than any other offseason in the Mahomes era at least, has been real noisy, man. There's a lot of things going on right now for other reasons, legal reasons, people with naive opinions, things like that are going on. There's a lot of things that are going on that are polarizing, and it can be a distraction. Now, we know this locker room, amongst the best, keeps things in-house. They fix things. They get shit together, man. And football is the main thing. And it never feels like this team is distracted for too long, and they always end up getting right before the playoffs. But do you feel that maybe some of the pressure is getting on some of these young guys? Maybe some of these old guys are starting to focus on, hey, man, my career's about to be over. I got things going on outside of football. Do you feel that there might be a chance that happens, or do you feel this team is tapped in? This stuff that's going on right now is going to be negated, and by training camp, no one's worried about it, no one's talking about it, and this team's all about football. Where do you think this team's going to be when football is literally kicking off?
Now you're talking my language. I talked about this last night on my Madden stream that you can see if you want some smoke. Visit me, Brian B. Shynin on Facebook. Y'all don't want it, I'm gonna tell you that right now. I talked about the three-peat and where the mindset is. So I'm glad you asked this question. And if you go back and watch the Super Bowl, or better yet, go back and watch, I think, the Chiefs franchise, the last episode of the franchise. And on the damn stage, you don't even have your second Lombardi yet in your hand, or you don't even have your third Lombardi yet in your head. And you're already talking about a three-peat. We're talking about on the stage during the Super Bowl, during the presentation, okay? And Patrick Mahomes is already saying, we got to get that third one, man. We got to get that third one. Somebody asked me, somebody ever did it? No, man. We got to get that third one. Bro, trust me. The mindset is there for every single player on that team. Everybody on the coaching staff, everybody in the equipment department, everybody in upper management, everybody in the owner's suite, the custodians, the ticket takers, everybody at Arrowhead knows what is on the line. Trust and believe that, because Patrick Mahomes has an opportunity and a chance to pass up Tom Brady in something he will never, ever, 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 ever do. And that's winning a three-peat. Patriots would never even sniffed a three-peat. They had an opportunity, but they in 05, they didn't have a chance to get a three-peat at all. And I think that was the only opportunity they had. I don't think they won back-to-back anymore after that. So you look at the Cowboys. They they had an opportunity with the 94 NFC Championship game. They couldn't get it done. You look at the Niners, the 49ers in 1990, and they went to the NFC Championship game. And that's the game where Joe Montana got hurt. He hurt his arm. 2-3 years later, he comes to Kansas City. So the Steelers, the only team that's ever sniffed kind of a three-peat, with a realistic three-peat, was the Miami Dolphins in the 70s, but it was in reverse, because in 71, they lost the Super Bowl, but then they came back and won back-to-back, and of course the undefeated Dolphins in 72, and then they won in 73. So everybody in that building knows what is on the line. History, untouchable history, is on the line, man. Belichick hasn't been able to do this. Andy, not only is a three-peat on the line, but Andy is trying to surpass Belichick, and he's trying to surpass Don Shula for the winningest coach of all time. So, man, look, no coach has ever done this. Man, look, this is and I say this though with the three-peat. If this happens, Travis Kelce is done. This will be the last year for Travis Kelce. He's gonna go off on the mountaintop like no other mountaintop has ever been reached before in NFL history. Nobody will ever have a grand outro like Travis Kelce has, right from the Super Bowl stage to the New Heights podcast booth or whatever he's going to do. The Saturday Night Live stage, the movies that he'll act in, or whatever he's going to do. That's on the way, especially if the Chiefs get a three-peat this year. But I think the mentality is there. It's been there throughout the offseason. And you got all these things circulating, though. You got all these things happening, and everything is working against you right now. But I just think it's going to make that 30 for 30 that much more spicy. Look, man, it's going to be the greatest 30 for 30 of all time. Better than The Last Dance. Better than the OJ 30 for 30, which is just
I hope so.
marvelous. Let me tell you that right now. But I think the mentality for everybody is there because it starts at the top. Oh, and Clark Hunt, huh? He wants a three. I think he wanted worse than anybody. Clark Hunt, I think he's really like I love Clark though. But I think he's like hella egotistical on the inside. He just doesn't show it. I think he wants to make the Hunt family proud, man. But to reach something that no other team has ever been able to reach, and I don't know if we'll ever see a team reach this height again. I don't know. Maybe there is another Patrick Mahomes, or the evolution of Patrick Mahomes that we'll see in 10 years or something. I don't know. But it's so difficult to get these things done, and it's so difficult to have everything aligned the way you need it to align, with injuries, with contracts, with stuff happening off the field and all this other stuff. Man, the Chiefs have a golden opportunity this year to make NFL history. And I think Patrick Mahomes has everybody in line with trying to get that done this year.
Well, you said it perfectly about Travis Kelce, and I tend to agree with you. I think if they do a three-peat, I do believe that Travis would probably look at it and go, look, my money-making years are just about to start. I'm in my mid-30s. I've had incredible luck of staying healthy for the majority of my career. I have the best postseason numbers of all time. I'm the greatest tight end who's ever lived. I'm a 4-time champion. What more can I possibly do? I tend to agree with you on this, although I'd love to see him come back for one more year and see if they can maybe even get to 4 straight Super Bowls. But, that'd be a little too greedy. You
bro.
Might have to give him a break,
Oh, yeah.
But my question to you about moving forward, because I know it's so hard to talk about the future right now, because obviously the three-peat has to happen. But even from Patrick Mahomes' perspective, who's just now entering his prime years, he'll just be 29 years old in September. I mean, this man's got another 6 years of probably excellent football left. And that's on the low end. I think Patrick Mahomes has an opportunity to do something this season as well that we've maybe never seen anybody else do. I mean, for instance, let's say Patrick Mahomes wins the MVP this year. He would have as many MVPs as Tom Brady did in 16 fewer seasons. That's, first of all, is alone nuts. They three-peat. They do something the Patriots dynasty, no other dynasty's ever done. But I think what that does is that sets the Chiefs up for a trajectory to literally surpass what Tom Brady did. Because right now it seems so nuts to think that Patrick Mahomes can win 7+ Super Bowls. But before Tom Brady did it, the idea of anybody winning 7 Super Bowls was insane. But it happened. And there was a 10-year gap in between those two runs that he had. I don't think that's going to be the case with Patrick Mahomes because, quite frankly, he can't afford it because no one's going to play like Tom Brady did until 45. That's an outlier. Unless there's some miracle, medicine that Patrick Mahomes finds that he can keep his body healthy that long. I don't think he's going to play until he's 45. But I've talked to his father, Pat Sr., on this very show. And Pat Sr. said this man wants to set all the records and he wants to win as many Super Bowls as possible. Obviously, that's the goal. He wins this 3rd straight, and he has 4 titles at 29 years old. You're talking about getting 3 more titles to tie Tom Brady for the rest of his career. Brian, I would take the over at that point. If they win this three-peat, I'm not doubting Patrick Mahomes getting to Tom Brady. At this time, that's a tough feat, man. But like you said, it's so difficult to win in this league, especially at that level. But if Patrick Mahomes does it before he's 30 years old and is already over halfway there, I feel like it's almost insane to doubt him at that point. What are your thoughts on that?
It's going to be up to Andy Reid and Clark Hunt, I think, more so on Patrick Mahomes, because I think you're going to get the best out of him in every game, in every situation, because that's how he is built. I think it's with everybody else. And let me include Veach with that too. It starts with Andy Reid because he's the mastermind. Of course, Patrick is the body and he's the physical. But without that mastermind, we don't know what Patrick Mahomes would have ended up like. Let's say Patrick Mahomes gets drafted by the Cardinals or something at the time or whatever. His career could look totally different. And his career would look totally different without Andy Reid. He would not be as successful as he is with him. So, but that's a concern of mine. That's way deep in the future. Like, what do the Chiefs do beyond Andy Reid? Because Matt Nagy ahead of the Chiefs, don't sign me up for that. Like, you can take that somewhere else. Nothing against Matt Nagy, great offensive coordinator, successful. No, we need. I don't think that's the move. You know what I'm saying? So it starts with Andy Reid. Okay, now how does it start with Brett Veach too? How is he involved? Well, Brett Veach is probably just as important as Andy Reid because he's the one that's giving Patrick Mahomes the tools to expand his legacy, to give him the tools to, hey, we can let Tyreek Hill go. And as long as we make these other moves and they're the correct moves. So that's where that's where it's going to be up to him. And it's going to be up to Clark Hunt too, because he has to continue to invest in his team. And I'm so glad that his investment into this team over the past 15 years or so is finally bearing fruit. Because if he had invested money into, the renovation, signing free agents, all this other stuff, and the Chiefs weren't successful, it could be like a Paul Brown situation or Mike Brown situation with the Bengals here in Kansas City. You know what I'm saying? Just treating it like a business and not like trying to make history and be one of the most successful NFL teams in the league. And then that could drive Patrick Mahomes out of Kansas City if Clark Hunt doesn't continue to invest and continue to get the best players. One of the reasons that the 49ers were so successful in the 80s is because of ownership. They treated their players with first class. They flew first class everywhere. They treated their families first class as well. Whenever they had family functions or games or whatever, they were always well taken care of. Now, and I forget the owner's name. Is it Carmen Policy? No, Eddie DeBartolo. He was the owner. He was the owner of the 49ers in the 80s until he got his tax situation or whatever with Louisiana. That was later on in the 90s. But in the 80s, they treated their players so well that it made them want to do anything for the organization. It made the players want to go out and, it kept Joe Montana comfortable. It kept Jerry Rice there comfortable all those years. So it starts at the top, and everybody has a hand involved with this thing and trying to keep Patrick Mahomes on the right path with trying to get this three-peat and being one of the better successful teams in the league. Everybody has a hand in it, man.
One last question for you here, Brian. And again, can't say it enough. Thank you so much for being here with us today, man. It means the absolute world to us. Yeah, I know the viewers, the listening audience, they're loving it too, man. So we're gonna be playing this throughout the week on our platforms. But I know you got your ear to the ground, and I know you know people, and you're invested in what goes on in this city, and we know that the recent taxation bill didn't pass, and we know that the Chiefs and Royals right now are just kind of up in the air in limbo as to what's going to happen. We know that no matter what, Kauffman Stadium will be done away with, and we just don't know where the Royals are going to land. But we do know that the Chiefs have options. They can stay at Arrowhead, or they can move. Now, we've said on this show multiple times that I feel very confident in saying that the Chiefs are going to be on the Kansas side of things the next few years. That's where I stand. I think that there's just too much incentives. There's too many built-in amenities. I think the gambling aspect, it all just makes too much sense for the Chiefs, especially if those star bonds go through where the Chiefs wouldn't have to pay for anything for 30 years. They'd be fully financed. But that's just me putting that out there. You're somebody, like I said, that's connected. You're somebody that has your own opinion on what you could see happening. That's why we have you on here, man. What do you think is going to happen? Where do you think the Chiefs and Royals are going to land in the next 5, 6, 7 years?
Well, if I was a gambling man and I wanted to place a bet, I would most certainly based on
literally.
I'm basing this on facts, not on how I feel, because how I feel in my heart, I would like the Chiefs just to build a new Chiefs kingdom where they are at Arrowhead. tear down the old Arrowhead after you build the new Arrowhead and just turn that whole, Independence cusp area into Chiefsville or whatever. But I don't think that's going to happen. That's for a number of reasons. If you ever were to drive around the complex itself over there in Raytown, Independence or whatever, you will see why the Chiefs want to leave that area. Like there's nothing going on over there, like absolutely zero, and there's no future for anything going on over there. And that's why I don't get why people were such in a rut when Mark Donovan said the area is not worth redeveloping. It's not. Hello, what? I drive around there all the time. I grew up around this area by the stadium, so what he said wasn't false. So I don't get why people were in their feelings about it. That's what I want, and I would like for the Royals. I guess I have to accept the fact that they're not going to be at Kaufman. I want them to stay at Kaufman. Kaufman is beautiful, but I get why he doesn't want to stay at Kaufman. The money is being made with downtown baseball and the surrounding economy around it. That's just, you look at almost every big city in the United States, they have a downtown baseball park. That's just the economics and business of having a baseball team. So I get why he would want to move downtown. I would prefer them to stay at the K because, again, the K is beautiful. But what I think is going to happen, what I would gamble on happening, based on the facts, is the Royals actually moving, somewhere downtown. I still think that could happen if they take out the displacement of businesses and they clean up the PR situation with the city, and they come with a new plan to where people don't feel like they're getting cheated or that they're giving money to a billionaire. And the Chiefs, I mean, Lance, you said it, bro. You stated all the facts about what's could happen with Kansas with the Star Bonds, but they said that's a long shot, by the way. So we're gonna keep our eye on that. And I know Mayor Lucas, him and Governor Parsons, they're gonna do everything in their power to not let another team, NFL team, leave under Parsons' watch. Like the Rams left Missouri already. Bro, you don't want two teams leaving your state for under your guidance, under your presiding. So, but I don't know, man. I think the Chiefs moving to Kansas. I really do. I feel like with all the incentives, the gambling, Missouri still doesn't have gambling passed. I think we just have to accept the fact that they could be playing in Wyandotte. And the more I thought about it, the more that the more I accepted it, I guess, the more I like to look at things on the bright side, because y'all, I just been through a lot of stuff in my life, so I have nothing else but to see the silver lining in things and try to keep some glimmer of hope alive. That's how I live sometimes when things are not going your way. And so the silver lining in this is that, perhaps that makes room for another team to come to the area. Maybe a WNBA team, maybe NBA team, maybe a hockey team. I don't know. But maybe it makes room for Missouri to add something else. So then not only will we have the Chiefs and the Royals and sporting in our area, but we could add something else to it. I don't know. But if I was a bet man, I would bet on a Royals downtown stadium and the Chiefs moving to Kansas. Because if the Chiefs stay in Missouri, where would they go? Because they don't want to be at Arrowhead. Where would they go?
Right. I think at this point I'm just going to tell you, Brian, when I first saw the proposals of what Clark Hunt was putting out there as far as the renovations, I told Trevor, you can ask Trevor right here. I said, dude, I think this is a half-assed attempt. I think he's just throwing that out there to see if the people will bite. If they don't bite, then he gets what he truly wants, which is a new stadium. I think that's what he deep down really wants. Because, you guys want to give me $500 million or $300 million? Cool, sign me up for that. You don't want to do it for these half-assed proposals? Cool, I'll go get a new stadium somewhere else.
Move, man. That rendering was a chess move.
Yeah,
like plain and simple. That the rendering that the Chiefs put out 2 months ago or whatever, it was half-assed. The odd thing is though, fellas, I ain't gonna lie to you. I liked them. I thought I was like, oh, okay, well, there. It's not it ain't Vegas, but it's a nice little
keeps them
arrowhead.
there.
Right, you know what I'm saying? That I was like, it's cool, okay, whatever. But I was gullible at that point, obviously, because it was definitely a chess move. So, and look, man, we got to think about these things in totality and think about it from their perspective. If I'm Clark Hunt, I'm not just deciding this just off the wind off my ass. I have people in my ear from all type of consultations. I got a lawyer consultating with me on what to do. I have Kansas people consultating on me on what to do. So there are so many small conversations that are happening in the background that they conjured up this plan. You can believe it, bro. What? Hey, Clark, man, just put out a half-ass rendering of what you think the stadium could look like. You know what I'm saying? And just don't make it too elaborate. Don't put too much in it. Because what we really want this, $600 million or whatever it is they're going to get from the state of Kansas. That's what we really want. And then we'll really put out the real renderings. And you saw what the real renderings was of a potential arrowhead. And that was a chess move too, because that was kind of leaked out a little bit. That the Chiefs didn't put that out. The Chiefs didn't stamp it. The Chiefs had nothing to say about these renderings that came out. So man, all of this stuff is a chess move, man. It really is. That's why I am so big into taking my feelings out and just looking at it for what it is.
Yeah. And for the record, I liked your silver lining about they move out. It may not be the worst thing in the world because one, it keeps the Chiefs in the area. It may not be in the same state. Same in the Metropolitan. And the thing I've wanted my whole freaking life, the idea of an NBA team, I would love that, man. So hopefully that would be the case. WNBA, I welcome it all, man. Like, I would love the potential of an NBA team. So if this is the move that would force Missouri to say, all right, man, let's get in these expansion talks. Let's get the NBA to start taking us seriously and be, like Nashville, like Seattle, and these other cities that have been, hammering for an NBA team.
Man,
get Kansas' name in there, Missouri's name in there.
We're behind in that line, y'all. Like we are. Excuse me. We used to be towards the front of the line when we got the Sprint Center at the time in 2007, like 2008, 2009. I remember they were talking about the Magic coming to Kansas City at the time. Yeah. But the Magic, they got the new arena later on.
Timberwolves.
But Timberwolves too. I remember that. But Vegas is above us. Seattle, they're in front of us, and I think one of those Canadian cities is above us, because I think Vancouver, I think they want basketball back. So we got a lot of work to do when it comes to NBA. I will welcome it with open arms. I sure in the hell would, but not sure how realistic that is. I think WNBA could be way more realistic than NBA.
Yeah. And like I said, I would welcome it as well, man.
Yeah.
You know what? But more importantly, we welcomed your opinions today, Brian, because
I respect
them,
man.
And you have great insight, and I love the fact, like you said, we already knew this, but you said it about how dark days in life, things happen. You always seem to find a way to find the positive in it. And that's something I strive for, because if when we have our talks on Arrowhead Allies, I always come from more of a skeptical side of things. Brian brings it more from a, hey, you know what? Let's just calm the hell down. Back-to-back champs. And then we find some middle ground. I always feel like we always find that middle ground. And that's why I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you as a friend. I appreciate you as a colleague. And, yeah, man, if it'd be cool with you before the season starts, we'd love to have you back, man, because we really appreciate your insight.
For sure, man. I appreciate you fellas having me on, man. I'm blessed and thankful for it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And before you get out of here, if you'd be so kind, let the people know where they can find you on the social platforms and when they can listen to your show on Hot 103.
Oh yeah, man. Just Brian B. Shynin on every platform. I'm most active on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook too, with the Madden streams. Again, if you want some smoke on Madden, hit me up on there, or B. Shynin on PSN. But search Brian B. Shynin on any social network, and I'm there. And don't forget, tune in to Hustle and Shine in the mornings every weekday, 6 to 10 on Hot 103 Jamz. Look, man, me and my partner Deanna, we got what you need, repping KC. Plus, we got opportunity for you to win $7,400 in birthday cash. Yeah, you might want to check us out, especially when we got these tacos and tequila tickets coming up next week too.
Hell yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about. You can't pass them on that. So check them out on their show, guys. Check Brian out on all of his platforms. He's a real dude. He knows what he's talking about, and we appreciate him here on the Spoken Podcast. Brian, have a blessed day. Have a blessed weekend.
Love.
We will talk soon, my brother.
You too. Appreciate y'all fellas, man. Be blessed. Be safe.
Thank you so much. That's our guy, Brian B. Shynin. I love that dude to death, man. He's a great guy. It was so funny. We actually had I don't remember who it was. I think was it Stan, Trevor? Who was it? James T. Kirk? Somebody that was in the comments a couple weeks ago. We're like, Lance, do you and Brian not like each other or something? I'm like,
it's true.
I guess we got to prove it to the people, man. So I hit up Brian like, bro, we got to get you on the show. We got to let these people know, man, that there is no animosity between me and my brother, Brian B. Shynin. That is my guy. Love that guy to death. He represents the city better than pretty much everybody, man. He is. If you could like encapsulate Kansas City into a human, it's like Brian. You know, he's like that ultimate caricature, if you will, of what Kansas City embodies, man. And I appreciate him being on the show. We thank him so much. Go get that smoke on Xbox or PS3 or 4, whatever it is. Trevor and I don't have consoles, so I've played video games forever. But if you want to go get your cheeks clapped on Madden, go hit up Brian B. He'll take care of you on that one. But
Madden cheek clapping.
I'm sure he'd approve of that message. I'm sure some of you guys are gamers. Go hit him up, man. See if you know. And hey, how about this? If you guys beat Brian, man, show us the score. We'll share it to our social media platforms, and we'll talk all that mess with Brian. And then maybe Brian will have some animosity. We'll see about that. But we appreciate him being on the show, and we appreciate him doing what he does in Kansas City, Hot 103 Jamz. Go and check out their show, guys, every weekday from 6 to 10 a.m. I listen to it. I enjoy it whenever I get a chance, whenever I'm on the road, and to listen to Brian in the mornings. But I want to listen to the people now, Trevor. I know they got some questions. Let's get to speaking. What do the people got for us today?
All right, man. So we got our guy, Dustin Orton. Mahomes will not be the MVP this season. Who will? KC Chiefs head coach of PR for having to clean up mess after mess. LOL.
Well, I like the take at the back end of that. I will say that I think that we all know that the MVP is more narrative driven now. And I think that Patrick Mahomes should probably have 3 or 4 MVPs by now. He doesn't. He has 2. I think in 2020, he should have won MVP. Chiefs were 14-1 in games that mattered. And Patrick Mahomes, I think he had 37 or 38 touchdowns, like 5 interceptions. And he had an absolutely insane season. I think he should have won MVP that year over Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion. But I think that the narrative might swing in the favor of Patrick Mahomes this year. And the reason why, and I'm not saying I'm going to pick him yet to win MVP, because I think guys like C.J. Stroud, Joe Burrow, guys like that are definitely going to be mixed. Josh Allen. If Josh Allen has a big year without Stephon Diggs, you better believe the narrative is going to be in his favor. Yeah. But the Chiefs right now, you're talking about Rashee Rice probably going to get suspended. Big games. If he loses Rashee Rice for half the season, after the emergence that Rashee just had this year, let's say Xavier Worthy's slow out the gate, as a rookie should be. Let's say that Hollywood Brown is Hollywood Brown, but he's not a wide receiver 1. And the Chiefs just keep winning games, and Patrick Mahomes out there putting big numbers. I think that Patrick Mahomes could win MVP, guys. I really do. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. The man just won his last MVP with Juju Smith-Schuster as his best receiver. He threw 41 touchdowns in 2022. So if he just has, like Trevor said, if he just has guys that are catching passes this year, he's going to throw for 5,000 yards. He's going to throw for 35-plus touchdowns. That's just how good Patrick Mahomes is. So, yeah, I definitely think the narrative is going to start to swing more on Patrick's side, because this would be his 3rd season without Tyreek Hill. The 3-peats in play. I think that there's a lot of things that people are going to be paying attention on Patrick Mahomes' side.
Yeah, the only MVPs I truly care about are the Super Bowl MVPs.
I like that.
Being honest, so I hope he gets another one of those. Max Wasson, do you think the Chiefs take a defensive tackle in the first round of next year's draft?
It's hard to say right now because we don't know.
I mean, I think we should.
I think that should be one of the
first or second pick. Yeah,
I think that should definitely be on the top of their priority list. But there's a lot of mystery, guys, because let's say that all the pieces pan out from this draft except like Xavier Worthy and Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney are still who they are. Then all of a sudden, wide receivers at the top of the list, because then Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown probably won't be back next season. You don't know what the future is of Rashee Rice, and if Xavier Worthy doesn't pan out this year, let's say he struggles out the gate or he gets injured, then wide receiver is even bigger question mark. So wide receiver might be on the top of the list. Defensive tackle right now is probably at the top of mine.
Yep.
So if I was a betting man, probably, but it's really hard to say right now. So I'll just go ahead and say yes.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to, take a defensive tackle semi early in this year's draft too, and we didn't do that. So I mean, that puts even more pressure on to do it the following season, if we're being honest, especially how the trajectory of Chris Jones looks after this season, barring health and all that and above. So yeah, I really hope that's the case next year for sure. Lonnie Pyramid, who will get the starting nod for cornerback?
Oh, I'm assuming L'Jarius Sneed's spot.
Well, he said, I meant quarterback opposite McDuffie.
Well, I think right now the favorite's probably Joshua Williams. I would say that he's probably got the favorite. I think that's going to be a rotating door to start the season, though. I think that it's going to be Joshua Williams. I think there's going to be some Jalen Watson. Well, you got to remember, guys, Trent McDuffie's probably going to still stay in the slot. So there's going to probably be two starters on the outside that we're looking at here. And I think that Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson with the advantage of experience, being two-time champions, guys that I think the Chiefs are wanting to see what they're really made of this year. Our guy Brian Tracy was on last week, and he doubts that Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson are those guys. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be like kind of make or break year for those two guys as far as what their longevity here is in Kansas City. So I would say they get the chance. But guys, I'm telling you right now, the guy that you need to watch out for is my guy, Chamari Connor.
That's my guy for sure.
Chamari Connor,
I think is going to get it.
I know he's a safety. That's what they have him as.
Yeah, but
so was L'Jarius Sneed.
Exactly.
And I told you guys 2 years ago, or over a year ago, when the Chiefs drafted Chamari Connor, I view him as the same guy. 4th round pick, 130th-ish pick in the draft. Awesome, multifaceted player that can play different positions, can play dime, nickel, can play free, can play strong, can play corner, can play slot. Like, he's all over the damn field.
Yeah.
I think that's the guy that you're going to see that may take over one of those cornerback spots on the outside and play shutdown corner. I really believe it, man, because he's actually bigger than L'Jarius Sneed. He's about 20 pounds heavier than L'Jarius Sneed. Yeah. Almost the same height, about an inch shorter, I think, but about 20 pounds heavier. He's a physical guy that can tackle hard too. So that's my vote right now. But I think it's starting off week 1, it's probably Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams on the outside.
Probably to start, yeah. But I think Chamari was getting reps, live bullets last season at points towards the end of the year. So I think I'm still in on the Chamari Connor sweepstakes. I think that's the guy that's going to take over that spot, if I'm being about my personal opinion, for the rest of the season as the season goes on. Our last 3 questions so far, at least for now, is from our guy Micah Hayes. Did y'all, Trev, Lance, come up to an argument or to an agreement on the DK Metcalf trade scenario, or agree to disagree?
No, we did come to an agreement that I was right and Trevor was wrong. So
well, that's a lie. So we disagree there. I mean, I think the people are with me. So
Oh yeah.
You can
so
go fuck yourself.
Speaking of that, I'm glad that
this getting cooked.
Shit was brought up.
Thank God for the Butker news, because you were getting cooked.
Bitch. Yeah, thank you, Harrison, for taking off the steam. I really do appreciate it, man, because I was absolutely
I was in
a pan fry, dude, just absolutely getting just overcooked.
Just
flipped
and
where's that
sauteed, bro.
Where's that damn pole at, man? I swear to God, you guys absolutely killed me for this shit. So I posted the question on Twitter. Because I'm like, let's get some conversation out there, man. Because that's my whole goal and doing this show and social media is to get conversation going. I don't mean to say, hey, this is exactly what I believe or don't believe. I didn't even put my opinion on it yet. I just asked the question: if the Chiefs get DK Metcalf in a trade, and this came from our guy Shaggy Shane. If the Chiefs get DK Metcalf in a trade, but it required trading Trent McDuffie in return, would you do it? We had 4,847 votes.
Shaggy with the banger questions.
94% said no. So, needless to say,
I am the 94%.
Yeah, I got slammed on that one. I mean, everybody was coming for my head on this one, man. And I explained my reasoning. I felt my reasoning was sound. May not agree with it, but I felt my reasoning was sound, and people just did not have it, man. So, needless to say, Trevor and I are still very much on the odds of this. We're agreeing to disagree, because I will admit, having Trent McDuffie is awesome. I love having Trent McDuffie on this team. I would just like to have one more wide receiver on this team that I know is going to be a freak, who is a freak, who I would love to see Patrick Mahomes throw the ball to. but I can live with Trent McDuffie being on this team because I think this dude's going to be an all-pro for years to come. So I'll agree to disagree on it.
Yes, that will never change. Next question from Micah Hayes. KCSN said that wide receiver Chris Godwin probably will be a post June 1st cut. Should we sign him? I mean, yeah. I'm all over that.
Yeah, he's 29 years old,
Depending
but
on
I
his
think
health.
he's the exception to the rule because Chris Godwin's a highly effective player. But he is injured a lot. He gets banged up a lot. But I think Chris Godwin would fit this offense seamlessly, and I don't think he would cost much either, dude. If he gets cut right now, the Chiefs could probably get him for $5 to $10 million.
And you're looking at a guy with a hell of playoff experience and a lot of and a Super Bowl victor. You know, a guy that has all that experience, bro.
If Godwin's trying to get that next payday too, because he's not old, but he's not young. If he's trying to get like that D-Hop next payday,
banged up consistently.
But we're better to go than Kansas City.
Yeah, he won't have nearly the volume and the expectations that he has and that he does in Tampa Bay.
He'd be wide receiver 1 though, I would say.
I mean, he's a great slot guy.
Yeah.
So that he would definitely, especially if we miss him Rashid at any moment, he would be a perfect fill-in. He's not the athlete that Rashid is at this point, obviously, but he's still an incredible route runner.
Yes.
The guy who knows how to create space.
Great hands.
That's why he was Tom Brady's go-to most of the time as far as on a per-target basis. The big plays obviously were Mike Evans and Gronk when he was there, the touchdowns and so forth. But Godwin was the guy that was getting pedaled with targets, bro, because he knows how to get open. He knows underneath routes, and that he would be a perfect, seamlessly fit kind of guy for this.
It's a common sense, yes.
So yeah,
if he's cut, Chris Godwin's got to be a Chief.
100%. Last one from our guy Michael Hayes, and we do have one more question after him. Why has Coach Reed never won a Coach of the Year, and how can he win it?
I believe he has won one.
Yeah, I think he has one. He won one in Philly.
Yeah, I think it was 04, if I'm not mistaken, when they went to the Super Bowl, their first Super Bowl.
The fact that he hasn't won one since he's been in KC is madness.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for the record. It doesn't make sense, and I hate the fact that it's been over 20 years since Andy Reid's won his Coach of the Year. People have tried to explain it to me. Well, the expectation, he's always winning. Okay, well, why does Bill Belichick have 3?
I mean, he should have won it the first year with Alex Smith.
Right. Like,
when he went from worst to first.
Or the fact that when you go from Alex Smith and losing all those games like they do in choking fashion in the playoffs to then getting Patrick Mahomes, essentially a rookie quarterback,
from the Super Bowl.
Having an historic offense, going one bad play from going to the Super Bowl and then overtime in the AFC Championship. I know playoffs don't matter when it comes to building Coach of the Year cases, but my thing is, man, they went 13-3 that season. Yeah, or 12-4 that season.
With a rookie first starting quarterback. Yeah, bro. But I mean, yeah, it is madness, and I mean, this will be a great year to do it. I mean, this will be a great year for if we get a 3. I know you said postseason don't matter, but if we three-peat and he doesn't win Coach of the Year, there's something wrong, bro. Yeah. I know it's a regular season stat, but or award, but that's got to weigh in at some point. That's history there. Last one. Michael Maldonado, how you think the bye week being early in the season could play a part of the Chiefs going for a playoff run later in the year when the Chiefs usually get a bye week around pre and post Thanksgiving?
Well, I do think it does play a part on how the Chiefs attack the season. Last year they had I think a rather early bye week too. I think it was like week 8.
Yeah.
So you're probably gonna see the team play a little bit more conservative out the gate, where they're not running Isaiah Pacheco like crazy. Travis Kelce's probably not getting 12 to 13 targets a game. I think they're going to try to ease their way into the season because it's a long, grueling season anyway, and this team's played more football than any other team over the last 6 seasons. So I think they're gonna handle it the same way they did last season, where you see the uptick as the season goes on, and probably even more emphasis on that this season because of the fact, like you said, this is the earliest bye week they've had since Patrick Mahomes has been their quarterback. But I don't think it's going to change. I don't think it's going to play a real. I know this sounds arrogant, but I don't think it's going to really impact the team and how the season ends. Because we've seen a lot of teams have bye weeks late in the year, and it doesn't really change anything in their trajectory. Because by the time you're at the end of the year, you are who you are anyway. Whether you have a week 13 bye week or a week 5 bye week, you are who you are by the end of the season. And I think the Chiefs are better than anybody in the league at getting prepared for the postseason before the postseason begins. Like they get their bodies ready, they get their game studies ready, everything's mentally prepared by the time the postseason gets here. So I don't think they're going to change their approach from a mental perspective, but I do believe that they're going to change it in how they utilize certain players, because I do think that guys like Travis Kelce would prefer to have a late bye week so maybe they can get that extended rest at the end of the season as opposed to the beginning. But I think that if the Chiefs wrap up the first or second seed in the AFC, you'll probably see Travis Kelce miss that Week 18 game anyway, just like they did this last year against the Chargers. They couldn't move up or down from 3. Travis Kelce sat. I think that's going to probably be the same story. So that's probably what you're going to see this year.
Doesn't matter, 3-peat. Thank you for all the questions. That is the last one, but I do want to highlight one last comment from our guy, Michael Hayes. Thanks, guys. Great stream. Trev, your acting debut last night was money. Good job.
Will you quit pissing his ass? Jesus.
I appreciate it, bro. Much love, my guy,
His daughter
Michael Hayes.
was the real star. God damn.
I created her. So, yeah, appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Leonardo DiCaprio sitting next to me? What the hell's going on here?
People are staring.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Friggin' forgiveness is more than saying
Get out of this bar. People are staring.
He's Jersey.
Kansas City's a small city, bro. I got to get out of here.
We've outgrown
big fish in a
City.
small pond, bro.
It was only a matter of time. Now, we thank you guys as well in the chat. Great times as always, man. You guys bring it hot and heavy throughout the show. I'll crack up and read some of your guys' comments, even some of your guys' debates amongst each other. I love it, man. It's definitely a great time. Yeah, keep doing that. We say it at the top, say it at the bottom of every single show. Go to YouTube, hit up the Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, hit like, hit share, hit notify, and then get in the comments. Let us know what you guys are talking about, what you guys want to talk about on the show, and we give you that opportunity as much as we possibly can. Trevor, we have one more order of business to get to. What is it called? Hold this L. Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who's ever holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Twidwell, who's holding the L for you this week?
All right, so I'm just going to start reading this article real quick for you guys. I know some of you may have seen this little tidbit on sports television, but I'm going to go ahead and read this. Let's start this article off with a little tale of the tape. Los Angeles Lakers star forward LeBron James in his 21st year world historical NBA career, 27.1 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 7.5 assists per game to go with 4 MVP awards and 20 All-Star appearances. Stephen A. Smith in his abbreviated college career at Division II Winston-Salem State, 1.5 points per game. Without disrespecting the Rams who gave the basketball world Hall of Fame guard Earl Monroe, there's no contest here. So, of course, Smith suggests Thursday that he could score on James in a hypothetical 1 to 100 one-on-one game where James spotted him 99 points. I'm going to go ahead and play this video clip for you guys real quick. That goes on for another couple minutes. I'm going to stop that there. That's all you really need to hear. He's continued to try to plead his case for the next 2 minutes. I'm just going to quote Stephen A. again. You're trying to say if I'm trying to get to 100 and they're going to give me 99, I can't make one damn shot, Smith asked. His fellow panelists cracking up peppered him with questions about how and precisely he intended to score on James. He said he kept on insisting, I can make one shot. I'm just going to end it with what Legler said. Honestly, man, I love you, Legler said. I don't know how you're going to get a clean shot off.
Exactly.
Listen, Stephen A.
Such a
one of the most entertaining men in sports history, sports television history. Strong personality, sometimes too strong, for being honest here. But not strong enough to score on one LeBron James, let alone a Kelly Oubre, if we're all being honest. Or anyone maybe in the league that's above 6'3". That's just not happening, buddy. So For the delusion of one Stephen A. Smith, glad he's on television because you can live your dreams, and dreams, that's what they are, and that's what they're going to continue to be for Stephen A. Smith and these kind of scenarios and these kind of topics and talking points. So for that, Stephen A., do me a solid favor and
hold this tail.
My goodness.
I want to, before I get to my L, I want to give out a couple W's. And it is to specifically these two ladies that are really, really great at their profession. They decided to go after their dreams. They decided they wanted to be more than what the norm is or what people tell a lot of women that they should be. And I want to start with one, Julie Freimeyer. This is her picture right here. You might be asking yourself, who the hell is Julie Freimeyer? Well, the next slide will tell you. Julie Freimeyer is the assistant athletic trainer / physical therapist for the Kansas City Chiefs and has been you can see at the bottom of the NFL experience. She's been with them since 2018. Her education is at Westchester University, where she got her bachelor's, FIU, where she got her master's, and then University of St. Augustine, where she basically finalized her education and became the person that she now is. And Julie is so great at her job that the one and only Patrick Mahomes, in the next slide, gives her full credit for what happened in that 2022 postseason run. When the original tweet is from Rick Burkholder, the head medical guy for the Chiefs, said, "Thanks for the support, and if you love the way Patrick played, then love this person, Julie Freimeyer. She designed and educated the rehab." Patrick quote tweeted by saying, "Julie was the reason I was the guy I was on the field today. It takes everyone, but she led the charge all week. Now let's get the Super Bowl ready." And this was obviously against the Bengals in the AFC Championship when Patrick was out there still limping around from suffering the injury just a week previous against the Jacksonville Jaguars. You saw in the franchise videos, Julie was nonstop on Patrick's ankle and foot area, rehabbing it, getting it as close to ready as it possibly could, because he suffered a highly severe ankle sprain that would kept normal people out for weeks, if not months. And Patrick played 6 days later. That's credit to Julie Freimeyer for being as great at her profession as she is. I don't believe Patrick Mahomes plays in the AFC Championship, let alone the Super Bowl, if Julie Freimeyer wasn't great at her job. If the Chiefs didn't have Julie Freimeyer, I don't think the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. And I don't say that hyperbolically, because that's what our quarterback believes. So W to Julie Freimeyer. This next lady that I'd like to give credence to, and a W2, if you can put her picture up there. This is Elizabeth Butker. Who is Elizabeth Butker? Let's find that next slide, Trevor. Oh, this is Harrison Butker's mother. She is a medical physicist at Emory University in Atlanta. She has been at the university since 1988 and works in Emory's Winship Department of Radiation Oncology. Elizabeth Butker took after her father, James Keller, who worked in the same department at Emory. Elizabeth is one of the main reasons why a lot of women over the last 30 years have gotten into radiation oncology. She has been a pioneer in a lot of ways, because before her, there were not a lot of women. In fact, there were less than 1% of the oncologists in radiation were women. And she helped blaze a trail for women that wanted to pursue their dream in this specific field. So for that, I'm giving W's to these two women who chose a path that may not have seemed like the norm for some. May not have seemed like the ideal, satisfying path to take. But they took it because they wanted it. And again, if some of these women didn't do what they did, some people wouldn't have rings that they have, and some people may not even be alive right now. So I just want to throw that W out there. My L, Trevor. is going to go to somebody that I hate the fact that we even have to talk about because I think he's one of the most overrated players and personalities in all of sports. Trevor, this is from the Dan Patrick Show. Please play the footage, unfortunately.
Speaking of the elephant in the room, here is Reggie during the game, last game, possibly taking a shot at LeBron James.
Oh, come on. We've got certain guys, veteran status in our game, that are on a lot of people's Mount Rushmore that like to deflect and point fingers at others. Here's a 22-year-old saying, this is on me. It's my fault.
Who are you taking a shot at?
I'm taking a shot in general. I'm trying to give credit and creed to a 20-year-old, 22-year-old, because I want to put myself in his shoes, right? And I remember when I was 21, 22, I don't know if I could have gotten in front of a camera with the world watching and said, this is on me. And I know a lot of people want to think and assume it's LeBron I'm taking shots at because, look, I've been in those locker rooms when certain veterans shy away from that. And it's quick to always pile on LeBron. If it was LeBron, I would have said LeBron James.
But you said current players Mount Rushmore, so
you just assume it's LeBron?
Well, who else is it going to be?
Well,
it could only be KD or Steph. Those are the only possible guys who could be on the current Mount Rushmore.
It's more so.
But you gave Ant-Man credit, which I'm fine with. You just brought in another portion when you said the current Mount Rushmore.
Well, I've seen a lot of guys deflect those criticisms when here's a 22-year-old stepping up, taking responsibility. So you could take it either way you want. Is it a shot at LeBron? Absolutely not, because I've seen him do the same thing Ant-Man has done, too.
Okay, is there a player in your head, then, if you say it's not LeBron?
Coward, bro.
Has there ever been anybody that you've known in your life where you're watching them and you're talking to them and you know they're full of shit and they just cannot see it themselves? That's Reggie Miller. Look, Nick Wright has been for years just decimating him on Twitter for his horrific commentating, and I put that aside. I'm not even here to attack him for what he does in his career. This specific track, though, this specific soundbite defines who Reggie Miller is, though. He sits here and he gives Anthony Edwards credit, which is 100% valid. Trevor and I will do that whenever we can. We give that kid all the credit in the world. He's 22 years old and he's way ahead of his time. We've talked about this on this very show because it's true. Reggie Miller made a very good point. And if that's all that Reggie had said, then that's all we're talking about. And we're not even bringing that up right now. But Reggie himself said he added more to it and threw fire, threw gasoline on a fire that he had no business being near.
You don't got to tear another man down to build another man up.
And then to top it, I mean, one thing, guys, because this is one thing I'll give guys like Skip Bayless credit for, is when he says stupid shit, he stands by it at least.
Chest.
Yeah, at least he's like, you know what? No, that's right. I said it, and I meant it. Like at least he'll stand on it.
Yep.
He might be a clown, but the clown is at least authentic. It's one thing to be that. It's another to be a fraudulent clown. When you're a guy like Reggie Miller who will say something like that on air, and when Dan Patrick brings you on the show like he does every week and asks you a simple question of who you're talking about, and you don't even have the balls, not only do you not have the balls to say the name, but you're denying the name. You're sitting here saying it wasn't LeBron. And then when Dan asks, because Dan's the best interviewer in the world, he'll break it down to the finite degree of, okay, then what? Who is it? He's literally begging Reggie just to, okay, then who is it? Who is it? Who are you talking about? Because you're clearly talking about somebody. I'm talking in general. No, you're not. You're talking about somebody on a Mount Rushmore. There are 4 heads on a Mount Rushmore. You're not talking in general. That's the opposite of general. You're talking in the specific. So who are you talking about, Reg? We all knew who you were talking about. Don't bullshit, bruh. You said what you said. Own it. We all knew who you were. Trevor and I were watching it live. When we saw it, we knew what he was talking about immediately. So don't try to fool anybody. Don't try to make it sound like you didn't mean it that way and act all repulsed and act like, wow, how are we even talking about this? And then try to laugh it off at the end. You're a clown, dude. You're a freaking clown. And you're the most overrated, overhyped basketball player I've ever seen. I hate the fact, to this day, that you ever had that little rivalry with Spike Lee, because that's the only reason you're in the freaking Hall of Fame, dude. DeMar DeRozan's a better basketball player than you.
Anthony Edwards already better than
I mean,
you.
my God, dude, you don't belong in the Hall of Fame. Dude's a clown. And these takes are just another example of that. So for not even having the balls to stand by your words that you yourself came up with, no one forced you to say it, Reg. Do me a solid and hold this L.
And it's a non-starter to begin with, too, because we're going to act like LeBron's just a guy that consistently throws his teammates under the bus and has never taken credit or for wins and losses.
It's such an unnecessary thing to say.
Yeah, it doesn't, yeah.
All right. You guys know that we usually just end the show after L's. But that's not today. We had a great show, by the way, and I want to thank everybody that's been a part of it. Brian B. Shynin, shout out to him. Great segment with him. Shout out to you guys that speak it. And the show, the chat as a whole today, you guys have been awesome. Trev, great content today, man. Great back and forth. Clay, Red Trev Cinema, amazing stuff at Rise of Mahomes 5. Please go check it out today, guys. It is an amazing, amazing film. And my hat was in it. Trevor and Scarlett were in it also. But I have to end the show here. We haven't talked about it all day. And I'm not going to talk about it very much. But I hinted at it in the W. We know there's a lot of polarizing opinions out there. And for the record, everyone has the right to one. And we're talking about the polarizing comments at Benedictine College this week from Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker. Everyone's got an opinion on it right now. Everyone's got a polarizing opinion on the polarizing opinion. For me, Trevor can say what he needs to say. Trevor and I haven't even talked about it in person. For me, Patton Oswalt said it best.
Hey, we have to respect his beliefs. You know, you've got to respect everybody's beliefs. No, you don't. That's what gets us in trouble. You have to acknowledge everyone's beliefs. And then you have to reserve the right to go, that is fucking stupid. Are you kidding me? I acknowledge you believe that.
To the great Patton Oswalt, man. I've kept that clip for a long time, and I've never used it, and I decided today would be the perfect day to do so. Because as I said in my W, and I will say it right here, I do believe that there are gender norms that belong in our society. I think that there's a fluidity to it, but I also believe there are people out there that don't want things that are within the confines of gender norms, and that should be okay too. And I don't like the fact that there are people out there that come up with this ideology that that's when you will finally live your life, and that is when you'll finally discover your truth and your full fulfillment by doing the things that I think is best for you, because that's what my wife does. As I said, these women that I mentioned before are doing great things in our society that have nothing to do with being wives, have nothing to do with being child makers or homemakers, as one Harrison Butker said. The way I see it is Harrison Butker, in my opinion, is the best kicker in football, and I want him on my team, and I'm not going to be one of these people that says they should cut him for having an opinion that I disagree with. And I vehemently disagree with a lot of things that Harrison Butker has said over the last couple of years. It didn't shock me at all for what he had to say. It didn't shock me at all, because I've heard him talk on other podcasts, other shows. I've heard him say some stuff that I had to really roll my eyes at. But you know what? Harrison Butker is a person. He has the right to an opinion, and I have the right to disagree with it. Just like if Trevor disagrees with it or agrees with it. We all have the right to react to those opinions. And that's one thing I don't understand, is that when we see these opinions come out, why we can't all just say, you know what, I disagree with that, and just move on. But we can't do that for whatever reason. As long as, in my opinion, as long as Harrison Butker is kicking field goals in the postseason and nailing them like he is for the Chiefs, I can put up with that bullshit. Because you know what? Again, I can't stop him from having those opinions anyway. And he has the right to continue to play because he's not a criminal. He's not someone out here that's killing people or raping people or doing things like that. If that's the case, I want him off my team. But if he's just a dude with naive opinions and has just been kind of raised a little bit differently than a lot of other people and thinks a lot differently than other people and maybe sees women in a different light than some of us do, have at it, man. More power to you. Disagree with you. Just keep kicking footballs. That's all I care about. So that's all I have to say about it. Trevor, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to it, man. Feel free. We haven't talked about this at all. But like I said, I think Pat Oswalt just said it best.
Yeah,
I acknowledge your opinion, but I think it's fucking stupid. That's my.
I ain't got nothing to add to it, man.
That's fair, man. I appreciate it. And look, we all have the right. You guys want to add to the chat? I saw somebody on our Facebook group. They posted about it. And of course, it got nasty because people just can't have fair conversation about things like this. So be it. It's just how social media works. A lot of times, people just don't want to have a fair and a concise, level-headed conversation about things like this. Even though I feel like it's very easy to do so. And if you just like Trevor and I, like we had the DK Metcalf Trent McDuffie conversation. We just agreed to disagree. We saw it from two different angles. Doesn't mean that one of us is a horrible person. I don't think naturally that Harrison Butker is some terrible guy. I just think that his opinions are very naive.
And he has a right to his opinions, as we all do. That's not only a personal right, that is a constitutional right, and he has the right to say that and what he feels and give his opinions and his. I would have more offense with the gay stuff, if I'm being honest. The homemaker stuff, I'm completely fine with. That's what he believes. That's what he thinks is best for most women to do, and that. As far as what he thinks their purpose should be. And it is what it is. And at the end of the day, being offended by what people say is a choice.
Yep.
Right? So you have to choose to be offended by those things. And some things that said might be triggering to some people, and some things might not be. His path worked for him, him and his wife and his family, the way they do things. And that's great.
Yep.
But everyone's got their own path and everyone's got their own journey. Life is short. Go live your lives, baby. Let's go.
So we've addressed it. Now you guys know we're not going to talk about it anymore. I knew that a lot of people were asking us about our opinions on this. I don't know if it was in the chat or not. Hopefully this is something that we can just address and just move forward because, guys, Trevor and I, we have a big thing here. It's called All Sports All the Time. We prefer just to talk about what goes on the field and what goes on the court. If we have to, we will address things when it's come to social injustice, racial injustice. You guys know we've talked about these things because we're also humans at the end of the day. And if we need to speak out about things, we will do that. But more times than not, we want to stay between the lines, have fun with you guys, and continue to do so. And that, like I said, we will disagree on things, and that's okay. That's what makes us. I think that's what makes it great, Trev, is that we can sit here and have conversation, a dialogue on things, and say, you know what, I don't see it that way. Cool, and maybe I'll learn something. Maybe you'll learn something. Who knows? Hopefully that's the way we can keep things, guys. Let's keep things as respectful and as balanced, and let's have a bipartisanship kind of relationship here, because if they can't have that in politics, we might as well have that here at the Spoken Podcast. Yeah. So that's why I want to leave it, man. Let's have fun. Let's continue to do that. And like I said, I hope Butker goes out there and continues to kick the shit out of that football, because that man was absolutely nails this year, and I hope that he continues to be nails, because my God, did that dude save the Chiefs multiple times last season. Let's hope the good times keep rolling. So for that, for Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Windler that puts everything together on this end, and at Red Tribe Cinema, shout out to Rise Mahomes 5, for Brian B. Shynin over there at Hot 103 Jamz and all the great things he does, for my guys over at Arrowhead Allies, for Starcade Media, for everybody that is a part of what we do here. I want to thank you so much. Thanks out to shout out to the chat. I'm Lance Twidwell. Episode 268 of the Spoken Podcast is done. Finished. Finito. And until we're back here, hopefully in 1 week's time, we out of this bitch.
Later.